This man is the first player, out of more than 1 billion users, to successfully destroy the wooden dummy in the newbie challenge, a task considered impossible, and with just a single slash. And the sword he used to destroy the wooden dummy was an epic-grade sword that he forged at only level 1 in the newbie welcome area. Hyun-soo is the only son of a great renowned master blacksmith and the sole heir to his family's legacy. His life would take a dark turn after a horrific forge accident that left his father in a coma. He himself was left with a burn scar that cut across his face, and more tragically his arm lost all its strength. He could no longer even lift a forging hammer. The burden of his father's medical bills, around 3 billion won, forced him to struggle with manual labor jobs. Entering the virtual reality world of Ares was his last chance to change everything and earn money to save his father. In Ares, despite starting as a level 1 player with the unemployed class, the protagonist quickly achieved extraordinary feats, surpassing all other players, affirming his innate talent for swordsmithing. The swords he forged were highly sought after by many guilds. Hyun-soo is proof that the value of a craftsman's skill can shine brightly in the world of Ares. He used this game to continue pursuing his unfinished dream. He once wanted to live his whole life as a blacksmith, and he could do that in Ares. His ultimate goal is to earn enough money to cure his father and reclaim his old forge. The forest was pitch black. "Elf squad, move out," the commander's voice echoed through the leaves. "Into formation. We have to take down that monster today." A screeching sound grew closer and closer. "It's too dark, I can't pinpoint its location. Damn it, where is it?" A female elf screamed in a trembling voice. "Behind you." A shadow tore through the darkness, lunging forward. The protagonist swung his sword, a blazing red arc sweeping through the air. The monster was torn apart. The elves were stunned. The male elf exclaimed in shock. "An outsider." He whirled around to look at the protagonist, speaking softly with a mix of surprise and confusion. Why?" A short silence passed. He took a deep breath and said sincerely, "I apologize for treating you harshly so many times. You saved our lives, and also protected the peace of our tribe. I will not forget this debt." A system window appeared. Favorability with the small village elves +10. First achievement. An outsider has gained the trust of the elf tribe. You can now move freely within the elven territory. He suddenly remembered something and continued. "Oh, and my sister has something she wants to say to you too." The young female elf stepped forward, her face blushing. Her hands nervously clutched the hem of her clothes, but she looked determined. "About what I said before. The offer to become teammates." A system window appeared. Favorability with the female elf hunter +10. First achievement. An outsider has gained their first elf companion. You can now use equipment of the elf tribe. She looked up at the protagonist, the corners of her lips curling slightly. Her eyes lit up. "If it's you, I'll agree. And also," the scene changes to a few days later. The man on the stage smiled confidently. Together they walked down the aisle and shared a kiss. The system panel displayed a new achievement. First achievement. An outsider has become the first to marry a female elf. A voice from the real world rang out. Ares is not just a simple game. Every character in Ares is operated by artificial intelligence, with their own personalities, judgment, and will. A surprised voice from the audience looked up. "Was what we just saw really in-game footage?" Another person whispered in amazement, eyes glued to the screen. "No way, they look like real people." Someone else swallowed hard. "I wouldn't have even thought that was computer graphics." "If that's true," the person on stage added, "this is not just a game. It's like a real world. But I've been thinking about how to present this." The Kurum Corporation has created a new world. By integrating a super-intelligent AI, they've given birth to a godlike entity. The god of Ares directly judges users, and depending on their achievements, grants them immense power. Through the revelations of the god Ares, a player can gain special abilities to become a hero, a legend, or establish their own power and become a king. In other words, everything that is possible in reality can be done. And even things that are impossible in real life can become a reality in Ares. The auditorium gasped. Someone whispered, "I don't know if it's all true, but with quality like this, I want to play right now." Cheers erupted. "You're amazing, Lee Si-jin. How can I buy it?" "I'm signing up right now." In 2045, the Kurum Corporation developed the game Ares. Created by the genius Lee Si-jin, its influence exploded. It didn't just impact the gaming industry, but global culture as a whole, and in the blink of an eye, it surpassed 1 billion users. 1 year later, a medieval village scene appeared vividly. "Whoa, it's even more real than the rumors. It's like I'm traveling." A system frame popped up, Ares Newbie Zone. A village for levels 1 to 10. They looked at their own bodies and chattered. So our real-life physical bodies and abilities are actually reflected. That's why only our appearance can be customized. The crowd in the square pointed and buzzed with excitement. Hey, look over there. Isn't that the challenge? The game master, standing next to the wooden dummy, announced, the event that's been around since Ares launched Break the Wooden Dummy in 10 strikes. 1.2 billion people have tried and all have failed. If you succeed, you'll receive a VIP capsule worth 50 million, and plus 5 points to all your stats. A few people whispered 10 strikes should be more than enough to break it. The man in the cap added, forget it, no one even tries anymore. Even national athletes have failed. Even the champion Hanun failed. Everyone says it's impossible. A tall guy blurted out, what if even Hanun couldn't do it? Maybe the test was designed to be unbeatable. The man in the cap continued, that's why it sparked so many rumors. The tall guy replied, but why are so many people still watching if no one's trying? Hearing this, the man in the cap explained, because today, humanity's last hope will arrive. Just then, a muscular man's voice boomed, make way for the handsome guy. The crowd parted as a wave of cheers went up. He's here, the strongest primate Madoseo. The muscular giant roared, all right, then I'll be taking that 50 million VIP capsule. He stripped off his clothes. All eyes were glued to his muscular physique, bathed in a red aura. Whoa, he's huge. He doesn't even look human anymore. I heard he once killed a bear with his bare hands. Why does that dummy look so tiny in front of him? He probably won't even need all 10 strikes to win. Madoseo stepped forward, tightening his hand wraps as he faced the dummy. His aura surged, gathering power for the upcoming blows. His body was like a burning fire. He threw a hammer-like punch at the wooden dummy. Boom! The dummy trembled violently and was sent flying a long distance. The crowd held its breath. It got pushed back so far? Is someone finally going to be the first to pass? Meanwhile, in the control room, a technician pointed at a monitor. What do you think? The woman with glasses, half hopeful, half worried, said, what can I say? All we can do is pray that he makes it. The complaint call center, we can't take it anymore. If even he fails following Hanun, things are going to get chaotic again. People will say Ares created an impossible mission just to grab attention. They'll even imply the company is only interested in recruiting people and making money. Tomorrow the papers will be plastered with headlines. He fell silent for a moment, then asked, so if he fails, we'll be forced to intervene in the Ares system. But will the CEO even approve that? She quickly turned to him, passing the buck. That's up to you, team leader. He grimaced. What can a mere team leader like me do? She pouted indifferently. If you don't, I'm quitting. He gave a strained smile, half amused, half miserable. Back in the square, the muscular man was panting, sweat dripping from his forehead. No way. A notification frame appeared. Mission failed. Please try again later. He roared, his belief shattered. I failed. In the control room, the man with long hair stared. It's over. The woman with glasses said frantically, let's run before this complaint calls start pouring in. And by the way, you're buying dinner. He glanced at her and said, if I buy, you're not allowed to quit. Hearing that, she replied, I'll decide later. I need to see the menu first. Suddenly, the short-haired man pointed at the screen and shouted, look! The long-haired man turned back, frowning. Huh. The man urgently reported, someone else is stepping up to the challenge. The woman with glasses sighed nonchalantly. So what? Do you really think that scrawny back looks like someone who's about to succeed? That outfit is the default for character creation. You can change it after killing about 10 level 1 monsters. But the weapon looks pretty real. A lot of people have tried relying on their gut feelings. They all failed. The protagonist stood facing the wooden dummy, back straight, hand on the hilt of his sword. The guy who just spoke stammered, sorry, I spoke out of turn. The long-haired man replied calmly, it's fine. I had my own what-if phase too. He turned away, preparing to leave the room. Anyway, let's eat first and figure things out later. Just as they were about to leave, the sound of a slash cutting through the wind erupted. They whipped around, startled. What was that? Why did it get so loud all of a sudden? The protagonist's golden eyes flashed. A storm-like slash descended. The wooden dummy shook, then split apart. A world announcement appeared. Congratulations to the first person to destroy the wooden dummy, followed by the rewards. All stats plus 5 received 200 reputation points. But in the control room, the long-haired man was stunned. One hit. What the hell? Who is that? Is there still someone out there with that kind of ability? The woman with glasses blurted out. No, Madoseo was the last one. She looked back at the figure sheathing his sword and concluded, half doubting, half believing, most likely just a regular person. The long-haired man gritted his teeth, following the young man's figure in the square. What the hell is he? What is his real identity? Wait a minute. That sword, check the equipment grade right now. She responded immediately. Roger. Her fingers typed furiously, then suddenly stopped. Huh. She looked up, her face pale. Team leader, the result is strange. He snapped back irritably. Of course it's strange. Otherwise, this whole situation would be even weirder. She swallowed. Right, but It really is epic grade. The long-haired man stared at the screen, his throat dry as he managed to get out one word. Epic grade. An information window appeared glowing brightly. Radiance as epic grade. Durability 3000, attack 143. Restriction. No restrictions for the creator. User requirement level 40 or higher. The resounding clang of metal on metal echoed in the blazing hot forge. The fire flared, as if trying to wring every drop of sweat from his body. Sparks flew as the hammer came down. Another long, drawn-out clang. The protagonist stopped, his eyes following the figure at the anvil. Dad. He approached the fire, casting shadows on the wall, and called out louder. Dad? Then he broke into a relieved laugh, hugging him tightly. I'm back. Dad, I'll protect you. My quick guess is this dad went out for a pack of smokes. Guys, Dad. The man's deep voice boomed amidst the flames. My son. His eyes blazed. The heat swirled into a wind, his muscles rippling like forged steel. I'm still hot. The fire engulfed his body, his hair and clothes fluttering in the inferno. It's too hot! He stumbled back in panic, raising a hand to shield himself from the fire. Dad, get out of the fire! Hurry, Dad. The sweltering heat, the long hiss of the flames. His father's voice still echoed. It's so hot, Dad! He jolted awake in the middle of the night, gasping for breath, his back drenched in sweat. Pale blue moonlight streamed through the window. He wiped his face and looked at his slightly trembling hand. That dream again. The next morning in the lobby of Seoul Ona Hospital, a man pouted slightly as he looked at his phone. Are there still idiots holding out hope? I told you, you can't break the dummy with pure strength alone. Just then the protagonist, wearing a mask covering his face, approached and called out, Hey, Kim Ji-hoon. The man turned his head and said loudly, Oh, you're here. The protagonist spoke softly, What do you mean you're here? I told you not to call me here in the middle of the day. He shrugged. What was I supposed to do? You're busy at night in your dad's hospital room? I can't get in either. The protagonist sighed and sat down. All right, so what do you want? Ji-hoon looked at his friend's sweat-drenched face and paused for a beat. By the way, aren't you hot? The protagonist's gaze fell. The memory of the forge fire flashed behind his eyelids. He pulled down his mask and said coldly, Hey, you want to die? Ji-hoon was startled and laughed it off. Whoa, my bad. Let's get straight to the point. You know about Ares, right? He paused and replied, Ares. His friend explained further. Don't tell me you haven't heard of it. It's the hottest game right now. Super AI, forget all that stuff. The important thing is there's an event for newbies in the game. Almost no one has been able to pass it. No matter how famous you are, everyone fails. But if you succeed, you get a VIP capsule worth 50 million won. He looked up. So, Ji-hoon grinned and said, Let's give it a shot, huh? Hyun-soo frowned. 1 billion people have failed. You think we can do it? He nodded. It's tough, but not impossible. He leaned in and whispered as if revealing a secret. Because when it comes to breaking that wooden dummy, you might have a chance. The protagonist froze. What do you mean? Ji-hoon said cheerfully. Your good friend has already prepared a capsule for you. A standard one to play, RS4. A cool 10 million won. He repeated in disbelief. 10 million won. After that, Ji-hoon added, It's the standard model. They say the synchronization rate of the standard version is about 85%. You can play without any problems. Hyun-soo blurted out. It's that expensive, and 1 billion people are still playing. The guy laughed and said, It's worth the investment. If things go well, the rewards pour in like a river. You can even trade with real money now, so everyone's jumping in. He looked at the gleaming capsule under the lights. His fingers unconsciously tightened. Kim Ji-hoon waved his hand impatiently. All right, that's enough explaining. You in or what? I just tried it for a bit. Interrupting the guy, the protagonist's voice lowered. Hey, Kim Ji-hoon, where did you get this? He raised an eyebrow. Does that matter right now? You should be thinking about how much we can make. He growled softly. What guarantee is there that we'll make anything? What kind of crazy idea is this anyway? He laughed. Crazy, this is an investment. I told you have a chance. The protagonist scowled. A chance based on what? What the hell are you talking about? He lowered his voice and looked at him. Listen carefully. There's a blacksmith class in Ares. He pointed straight at him. See how cool is that? You're the only son of a great renowned master. The sole heir. With your skills, what's a wooden dummy? He fell silent, then slowly took off his hat. The brim lifted, revealing the burn scar that cut across his face under the cold light. I was also wondering what kind of scheme you were planning. But this is my condition since the accident. I've never shown you before. Have I? This is me now. Honestly? I don't have the motivation to try anything anymore. The sound of heavy breathing echoed in the darkness. His feet flew towards the flames. Dad, Dad. He saw his father trapped amidst the red-hot iron. His heart felt like it dropped out of his chest. Dad. The protagonist rushed in to pull his father from the fire, screaming until his voice was hoarse. "Wake up, Dad." Dad. But that incident took everything from me. I'm struggling, just to survive, and Dad has never woken up. To pay the hospital bills. My family is too poor, so there's no other way. At the construction site, someone called out to him, "Hey, you. I heard you know how to use a hammer. Go help out in the back." Following the handprints of his father, it was still the same hammer, the one I once used to forge countless metals. But the hammer fell to the floor, making a dry, cold sound before rolling away. Even that is now out of my reach. Tears streamed down his face. He gritted his teeth. Damn it! The accident from that day left this arm with no strength at all. I can't forge. Even manual labor is a struggle. He pulled his hat lower and said quietly to Ji-hoon, "I know you want to help, but let me handle my own problems. Take that thing back. Don't waste 10 million won like an idiot. Anyway, it's time for my part-time shift. I'm leaving." As the protagonist turned to leave, Ji-hoon called out sharply, "Hey, you're the idiot. Are you going to break your back every month to pay for your dad's hospital bills? For how long? Let's say you can do it for the rest of your life. But what about your life? Are you going to let your body stay like that forever? This could change everything. The total treatment cost is about 3 billion, right? It sounds crazy, but you can't just give up because of that. You were never that kind of person before. You used to say you wanted to live your whole life as a blacksmith. You can do that in Aries. I'll cover that 10 million. So this time, just listen to your friend. Hyun-soo, just give it one try, okay? I won't be reckless anymore. Just one try, okay?" The protagonist bit his lip. Memories of the burning forge rushed back. His father's voice echoed amidst the sea of fire. He looked at his hand, trembling from the searing heat still imprinted on his flesh. He sighed, not answering. Dawn broke through the scaffolding of the construction site. The protagonist, wearing a hat, tried to push his friend's voice out of his head. "He's just filling my head with all sorts of useless thoughts. I need to focus on what I can do right now." He climbed the levels, hastily reminding himself, "I have to earn money to treat Dad." The sudden sound of clashing metal rang out. The reverberation spread through his chest, making his heart tremble. Like the sound of the hammer from years ago, it rekindled the breath of the fire. As evening fell, he stood before the game machine, pulling down the brim of his hat, looking at his reflection. His heart was still beating to that rhythm. Finally, he let out a breath and said to himself, "In the end, I still came here." His friend's words replayed in his head. The protagonist touched the capsule, thinking, "It was the sound of metal that led me here. I once wanted to live my whole life as a blacksmith, and I can do that in Aries. The fire that once wrung the sweat from this body." He put on the VR headset and whispered, "That familiar sound of metal, I will hear it again, Dad." The system displayed, "Welcome to the world of Aries. Beginning character creation. Please set your nickname." He immediately replied, "Hyun-soo." Nickname created. Beginning character customization. The system scanned his body. Light enveloped him. He stared wide-eyed at his hands, choking out, "What?" The protagonist looked at his glowing hands during the body scan and was startled. "The scar, it's..." The system reported, analysis complete. Then it asked, "Do you want to keep your current appearance?" He paused for a moment, then nodded. "Yes." Notification, character creation complete. Searching for a server. The protagonist clenched his fist, muttering, "That damn Kim Ji-hoon." He tried clenching and unclenching his right hand, surprised to realize that not only was the scar gone, but his physical strength had also fully returned. "Guess I owe him 10 million won now, huh? Gotta grind to pay it back." The system announced, "You will be summoned randomly." Transferring to the newbie zone Barden territory. The light dissipated, revealing a stone blacksmith shop. Len's Forge Barden territory. Amidst the firelight, the old smith pulled his gloves tight, preparing to work at the anvil. The blacksmith Len muttered in front of the furnace, angrily remembering the instructors. "Those damn bastards, just you wait. I'll shatter your pride. I'll forge a sword that far surpasses his." He lifted the steel ingot, hammering repeatedly, sending sparks flying. Hot-tempered and impatient, he roared at the red-hot steel. "Come on, listen to me and harden up. Just work, damn you." From behind, the protagonist entered, his calm voice cutting through the noise. "That's not how you do it." The old man froze and whipped around. "Huh, outsider, what did you just say?" The protagonist looked at the steel ingot in the tongs, the firelight reflecting on his face. He repeated clearly, "That's the wrong way to do it." The blacksmith. Len glared at the newly arrived protagonist. Hyun-soo calmly pointed to the steel ingot on the anvil. "You're forging a sword blade, but doing it that way will never produce a good sword." The old man narrowed his eyes. "You're an outsider. What the hell would someone like you know?" Hyun-soo let out a soft breath. "I know it's none of my business, but seeing how you genuinely want to forge a good sword, I couldn't just stand by and watch." The old man snorted, sweat beading on his forehead. "Couldn't stand by and watch, huh? Sounds like you have a lot of free time." The old man approached the protagonist. "All right then. I've got nothing to lose anyway. Get over here and show me what you can do. He handed over the hammer. Let's see if your skills are as good as your mouth. I'll be watching very closely. Hyun-soo gripped the hammer's handle thinking, I was originally planning to butter him up to borrow the forge, but this works too. He looked up. I have one condition. The old man raised an eyebrow. A condition? If I can prove my skill, let me keep the sword I forge. In return, I'll show you something worthwhile. The old man burst out laughing. Confident, aren't you? I like that. I hope you can keep that confidence until the end. But if you fail, you'll pay the price for your arrogance. He looked straight at him, his gaze determined. Deal. The light from the forge flared up. He pulled the red-hot steel ingot from the furnace, placed it on the anvil, and gripped the hammer tightly. His mind went blank for a moment, then a thought surfaced. Has it really been 3 years? It's easy to talk big, but honestly, I'm not sure if my skills are still intact. He took a deep breath, swung the hammer, and brought it down. Sparks flew in a long chain. The rhythm of the hammer gradually matched the heat embracing his body. The familiar feeling returned. But this feeling, I can do this. The fire lit up the entire workshop. Between the hammer strikes, memories flashed. The flash of an explosion, a hospital bed, a choked cry, and the trust of a friend. He pressed his lips together, pouring all his strength into relentlessly forging the red-hot steel. Every hammer strike was a promise. Just wait a little longer. The forgotten sensations are coming back one by one. The familiar clang of steel, the searing heat against my skin. It's good to be back. My body still remembers I can do this. He put his strength into it, the hammer sweeping in a bright arc. Fire blazed along the length of the ingot. His rhythm became steadier, his breathing even sweat rolling down his temples. The corner of his lip twitched up slightly. The old blacksmith narrowed his eyes. Just an outsider. I thought he'd be something special. If he's just clumsily imitating what he's seen. But it seems he's had some experience. This is probably his limit. What is he even smiling about? Enjoying yourself is meaningless. Around here, only results matter. If you can't pull off any decent skills, you'll inevitably hit a wall. I let him do it hoping to salvage something. But there are no blacksmith skills in the starting zone. Am I not just wasting my time, What the hell? He's folding it, heating it, and folding it again. The old man's eyes widened. I see. This method can increase durability while removing impurities. Why didn't I think of such a simple trick? But will it actually be effective, or is it just for show? The old man squinted, activating his appraise item grade ability. A notification popped up. Grade C steel. Upgraded from grade D. The old man shot up. No way! I've forged grade C steel before, but it's never graded up this fast. So he wasn't bluffing. But this must be it. There's no way it can grade up again. Keep hammering. A few cheap tricks. Doesn't change the fact that without skill, it's no different from me. Night fell upon the workshop. The scene shifted to morning sunlight filtering through the leaves. The old man snorted, waking with a start. Did I doze off? Staying up this late because of that outsider? The sound of a hammer still rang out, clang, clang. The old man looked up. What, he's still forging? The hammering was relentless without pause. The old man watched, stunned, as a shower of sparks flew like rain. The red-hot steel billet was pulled out again. The boy gripped the hammer, bringing it down with solid strikes, his eyes unblinking. Then he plunged it back into the fire. Seeing this, the old man gulped. That kid! Is he made of iron? The boy plunged the fiery billet into water, sending steam billowing up. And then he held up the steel bar and admired his work. The steel seemed to glow as if enchanted. Information flashed before the old man's eyes, B-grade steel. The old man blurted out, B-grade, is that really possible? But in the workshop, the boy persisted, his hands perfectly steady. His gaze was focused, his breathing deep and even. The old man watched, frozen. He reached B-grade without a single skill. And he's not stopping. Is he aiming for an even higher grade? The boy carefully inspected the steel, smacking his lips slightly. Damn, it's been a while. Am I pushing myself too hard? Just then the old man approached, looked at the boy, and held out his hand. Just standing around watching isn't very helpful. Tell me what to do. Let me give you a hand. The boy nodded gratefully. The two got to work together. The boy tilted the steel blade, checking its grain. The old man took out a pen and paper to take notes. After a long while, sunlight streamed through the window. The old man held his breath, watching the steel change color, and then exclaimed, Unbelievable. A grade? With this piece of steel, you could forge a rare grade sword. The old man added, almost boasting, I have a skill that lets me appraise item grades. It's nothing amazing, but in the starting village I've never even seen a magic grade item, let alone rare grade. You could forge a unique item with this. Aren't you excited, kid? But the main character just shook his head calmly. It's too early to celebrate. I still have to make the hilt. The blade needs to be ground thinner and sharper. And I have to treat it to withstand extreme forces. Without the edge breaking, it's still far from perfect. The old man let out a hearty laugh. Haha, I've never met an outsider like you before. The main character replied softly, his eyes never leaving the steel blade. I've been obsessed with smithing since I was a kid. The old man remembered and added, You said you were going to forge a sword here to take with you. Right. The main character gave a short reply. That's right. The old man suddenly took out a block of high-quality bluish ore, offering it to the boy. In that case, try forging again with this. The boy paused. Huh, again. His eyes widened as the blue light reflected on his face. It's, the old man answered simply, a chunk of mithril. The old man held the ore with both hands, his voice slow. It's a family heirloom passed down for generations. Thanks to you, I've learned so much and I want to learn more. Besides, this ore is beyond my skill level. I want to see what kind of sword you can make with it. So take it and forge. The boy looked at the ore, his heart pounding. Mithril, a metal that doesn't exist in the real world. Only in stories. The thought of it, to actually forge a weapon from a legendary metal that I've only read about before. I've never even touched it. This is a hell of a gamble, the boy added. How could I possibly refuse? The old man chuckled. Of course. Especially after you gave me such incredible knowledge. The old man's face suddenly turned serious. So, may I call you master? I will address you with the utmost respect. The boy waved his hands awkwardly. No way. Sir, you look old enough to be my grandpa. The old man rushed forward, pleading. Age is just a number. Please accept me as your disciple. The boy pretended to turn away. Nope. Forget it. I'm not using the mithril. The old man panicked and chased after him, still clutching the blue ore. Don't wait, master, wait. 1 month later, the boy stood in the middle of an event field, swinging the sword he had just forged. The steel blade cut through the air. A wooden scarecrow shattered into pieces as the system window lit up. A daylight epic grade. Durability max. Description: a legendary sword, born from the hands of a master. Includes a series of stat-boosting effects. Next, the status window appeared. Name Kim Hyun-soo. Level 1. Class None. An executive's voice exclaimed, Whoa! So basically, as soon as he logged into Ares, he ran straight to the forge, got mithril, and made a sword, then went and cleared the Scarecrow event. Is that right? In the Purium Company Management Center, a group of employees was glued to the recording. A long-haired man swore, It's still insane to watch. How the hell did he make that? A woman with glasses said quietly, What are you spacing out for? Let's get to work, or we're gonna get fired. The long-haired man grumbled, I need a break before I lose it. No matter where we look, we can't dig up anything else on him. She read from the file, name Kim Hyun-soo, 23 years old. Currently lives in a studio apartment in Oodong. Login confirmed from an acquaintance's home. Hearing this, the long-haired man cheered up. You can't find anything, not even the great assistant Lee. She continued, We already know what happened in the arena. I'm reading his personal information, because an application to use a VIP capsule just came in. The long-haired guy was surprised. Came in, he didn't contact us. No, she replied. It just arrived. But he requested that his real-world identity be kept confidential. Hearing that, the long-haired man was shocked. He doesn't want to reveal his identity, she added. Yes, he was very insistent. But why? If this got out in the real world, he'd be treated like a celebrity. The long-haired man continued. Well, I guess he has his reasons for avoiding the spotlight. Where is he now? The woman with glasses said quietly. Well, it looks like he just entered the hunting training center. Scene changed to the main character. He had just pushed open the door to the hunting training center. An instructor glanced over and called out, Hey kid, from now on you'll be fighting real monsters. Sorry, but I can see your level. A level 1 has no shot at passing this test. The guy waved his hand. I don't want to waste my time. Get out of here. Go hunt some rabbits and then come back. The boy thought for a moment. Can't he see my stat window? Then he said calmly, I'll try not to waste your time. The man sighed in frustration. What a pain. Fine, grab a sword from the rack and come over here. The boy walked to the weapon rack, his hand hovering over a sword hilt. If any sword will do, can I use my own? A faint blue light began to rise as he drew his own sword. A rumor spread through the starting village. He had stayed in this place for a whole month, a place others cleared in half an hour. The leaderboards were in chaos. He held the only epic grade sword possible to obtain here, yet he was still level 1 and had no class. The system window clearly showed Kim Hyun-soo, level 1, class None. At the Purium Management Center, a reporting voice rang out. I've managed countless master craftsmen and pro players, and this still makes no sense. Should we leave things to the god of this world? The super AI Ares to intervene. The man with glasses added, He's currently at the Baden Rookie hunting grounds. He probably has no idea what's waiting for him there. The privilege of a legend. Back in the training room, the instructor frowned, watching the boy draw his own sword. This kid wants to use a self-forged sword, he sneered, throwing your future away for that useless profession. Truly pathetic. The boy remained silent, gripping the sword's hilt, his eyes scanning the arena. The man pointed and laughed. A trained swordsman is worth more than any weapon. A shoddy. So why would someone chasing the blacksmith profession even bother coming here? A notification box appeared. Affinity with instructor Reynoldson has decreased by 10. The boy thought to himself, this reaction. I've seen it way too many times in real life. Being a blacksmith is just a useless dream now. But in Ares, I feel the exact opposite. My efforts can finally be recognized. He looked up and asked directly, among all the swordsmen who have passed through this training ground, who was the best? I want a test that's harder than the one they took. The main character looked at the enraged instructor and thought, this guy might be rotting away in the Baden rookie hunting grounds with the title of instructor, but he's trained countless students. And if he can recognize potential, he must be somewhat formidable. The man gritted his teeth, thinking angrily, a brand new punk dares to be this arrogant. Just then the system window flashed. Instructor Reynoldson has been provoked. Challenge proposed. He growled, fine, this might be worth a shot. Follow me. Walking down a damp stone corridor, the man spoke. My job is to teach rookies the basics and organize tests, and then confirm. But for the rare few who show true potential, I offer a special trial. The highest record here only reached the 3rd stage challenge. They stopped in front of a dark room. An iron gate groaned open. From the floor, red-eyed goblins, bearing their fangs, emerged. Swift Goblin, level 6. The man looked at the boy and asked, are you sure about this? Because you asked for a harder and riskier challenge. The penalty will match. If you fail, don't show your face here for a week. Go hunt some rabbits. Got it. The boy asked concisely, is the 3rd stage the final test? I want to try them all up to the final stage. The man was startled, fury rising in him. Is this brat looking down on my training? He's testing my patience. He yanked a chain lever. The iron bars clanged. Fine, let's see you do it. A notification appeared, stage 4 challenge monster. Then a frenzied goblin, level 15, roared and charged out of the gate. The main character thought to himself, across the entire world, almost no one has passed the 3rd stage, and not a single person has cleared the 4th. The arena floor trembled as hordes of red-eyed goblins poured out. Their sickles sliced through the air. The goblins roared in unison and charged. The boy took a half step, his wrist steadying the sword to block the attack. Immediately after, the goblin swarm rushed forward. The boy lowered his blade to meet the first blow, his eyes quickly tracking their approach. Any blacksmith would recognize it. He held his breath, twisted his wrist, and maintained the blade's edge. Activate a Daylight's blade. A blue light flared around the sword's spine. A Daylight's active skill. Indomitable blade. Increases physical attack and defense for a few seconds. The raw power in the steel blade was channeled into a vertical slash. The first goblin was sent flying backward, before slamming hard onto the ground. Notification, you have defeated a swift goblin. A sharp screech signaled the second wave. It slithered low to the ground, then launched itself like an arrow. The boy spun, his sword a horizontal blur of motion. The instructor, observing from the edge of the arena, thought to himself, just as I thought, a clean critical hit. That's why. The swift goblins are a rookie's worst nightmare. No matter how good your weapon is, without skills in the end. His words caught in his throat at the sight before him. The boy gritted his teeth, his body faltering for a moment before stumbling back, exclaiming, that hurt more than I thought. His body was bleeding, staining the floor red. His stats flickered, HP 82%, 100%. He dropped to one knee, surviving a critical hit at level 1. Luckily, the time I spent buried in forging weapons also boosted my stats. Strength 35, stamina 33. Those two are fine. Only my agility is lacking. The instructor bit his lip, thinking, it's not over. The real danger is just beginning. The frenzied goblin roared and lunged forward. Frenzy spikes shot out like rain. The hissing sound filled the arena. The boy tried to brace himself, but a debuff hit him. His head spun. His vision blurred for a second. The instructor gritted his teeth and admitted, you're pretty tough, kid. But this is your limit. Let's end it here. The main character took a sharp breath, telling himself, I have to focus. Trust in the sword I made with my own hands. Forge it and do what I can. The blue light from the sword surged. Passive skill, Swift Blade activated. Attack speed momentarily skyrockets. The sword's path exploded in light, tearing through the claws that were lunging at him. Amidst the explosive shockwave, he tightened his grip on the hilt, thinking, with this I can close the level gap. He landed as dust swirled around him. A notification lit up. Frenzied Goblin has been defeated. The onlookers were dead silent with shock. The instructor let out a hoarse laugh. This kid, did you just do what no one else could? He ran over to the main character and said, your slashes might look the same, but every single swing, draws out the true power of that blade. You must have studied swordsmanship before, right? The main character looked him straight in the eye and replied, I only learned that a blacksmith must be able to wield the weapons they create with their own hands. That's all, text box Reynolson realizes. He glanced down at the boy's arm, observing the muscles and long scars, and nodded slowly. He understood. This is a true blacksmith. The man bowed his head. Please forgive my earlier rudeness. System notification. Affinity with Reynolson has reached its maximum. The man leaned in slightly. Will you hear my proposal? I say this, out of genuine respect for your talent. Have you ever considered becoming a berserker? King. A system window lit up. Legendary class. Class change quest, become the Berserker King. At the management center, the long-haired man was freaking out. What? This is insane. Is this really happening? This is a class even higher than the epic grade Berserker Knight. The woman with glasses added, that offer alone is enough to classify him as a special management user. The long-haired man exclaimed, good, that's very good. But once you accept a class change quest, there's no turning back. Reynolson looked the boy straight in the eye, his voice low and clear. The Berserker King commands hundreds of Berserker Knights. You would become a guardian of this world. What do you think? I don't make this offer lightly. With your talent, you could lead the Knights. The boy smiled, nodded appreciatively, then shook his head slightly. I appreciate the offer, but I must decline. I am a blacksmith, not a knight. Witnessing this scene, the people outside the game broke into smiles, seemingly proud of the main character. Reynolson, however, froze for a beat. Then a sudden understanding dawned on him and he burst out laughing. Fantastic, absolutely wonderful. The boy looked up at the bright sky, thinking, I once thought I would never pick up a hammer again. But in this game I can feel it again. My life as a blacksmith begins anew. A hidden quest appeared, B grade, meet Lord Vans. Reynolson handed him a scroll. Take this letter of recommendation to the Lord's castle. There's someone there waiting for an unusual blacksmith like you. And as for your challenge reward, take this set of armor that once belonged to a Berserker King. Its functions have rusted away, but I believe you can make use of it. Prove yourself there too. Do what no one else can. Receiving this shower of praise, the main character bowed shyly and replied, yes, I'll do my best. At the management center, they concluded, finally, user Hyun-soo has overcome his biggest crisis. There's still a glimmer of hope. The pinnacle of blacksmithing. The path towards the god of smithing. The training grounds had been cleared. The main quest popped up as he entered the Lord's village. The final part of the tutorial is over. Now the real game begins. But first he logged out. Real-world sunlight streamed through the curtains. Right, I still have to pay the gas bill. There was a lot to do in reality. He checked his bank account. The balance was at rock bottom. He thought to himself, first I need to take care of Dad's hospital bills and my living expenses. Just then his phone rang. A familiar friend's voice asked, did you clear the training grounds yet? I've been busy, so I haven't been able to log in. The main character replied, yeah. I just got a quest and arrived in the new territory. The voice on the other end was delighted. Awesome. You can use the auction house now. Head there first. The main character paused. The auction house. The necessary equipment and items in the game are crafted and then sold at the auction house. You get gold. 10 gold converts to 10,000 won. Cash transactions are booming. So much so that many people treat it as a profession. That's the real reason I dragged you into Ares. You know what I realized while playing? I've never seen anything as amazing as the sword the old man and I forged. When I use the VIP capsule with 99.9% synchronization, it's even more incredible. Let the creations of the master blacksmith flood the world. The main character chuckled, thinking, this guy, and replied simply, thanks, man. Scene changes to a short time later. The main character hastily ate a convenience store meal. The path is clear. Focus on crafting and quests to earn gold. At the same time, I have to manage my physical stamina. It's not as demanding as real forging, but gaming is still draining, so I'll go jogging to build stamina. He always reminded himself, Dad, just hang on a little longer. I'll take care of everything so you can wake up. A while later, the main character entered the game world, landing directly in the Baden territory. The interface appeared, Access Auction House. Please enter a store name to list items. He raised his hand, his eyes focused, and answered concisely. Hyun's Forge. Wind swirled around structures resembling giant scales. System alert. Store tool Hyun's Forge has been created. From now on, you can use the auction board anytime, anywhere. He tilted his head, observing and mumbling to himself. What should I list first? Besides daylight, I only have the one prototype I forged in the workshop. If the average market price for a limited sword is around 10 gold, an item card popped up before his eyes, Hyun's first sword. He looked at it carefully, considering it again, then remembered Ji-hoon's advice. Don't list it too cheap. He took a breath, preparing to set the price for his very first hand-forged sword. The main character calculated, maybe I'll list it for around 100 gold. Then he wished for the best. Hope I get some good news. While waiting, I'll take the time to learn more about the village's systems. An explosion of light appeared on auction boards everywhere. Players opened their interfaces, staring at the item card. Someone gasped once they saw the information. Someone listed a level 1 sword. Weird. The bid price just keeps climbing. The Golden Shield Guild logo appeared. An urgent call came in. Vice Guildmaster, they're saying the person who made this sword is only level 1, with no profession. Everyone's going nuts. Because he made a top-tier sword, from the crudest materials. And get this, they say it has an enhancement option. The Vice Guildmaster nodded and texted back an explanation. If it's equipment enhancement, then it's true that the lower the material grade, the lower the success rate. The person on the other end scanned the description and concluded, he must have used materials of the same grade, so he saved on costs. The Vice Guildmaster texted again. With just a small investment, this sword is viable up to level 50. Whoever it is, they're very smart. The other person continued texting. He even gave it a name. First sword. This is the creator's first collectible piece. With this level of craftsmanship, even at level 1, it's incredibly valuable. Right. The Vice Master asked back, valuable. The other person replied calmly, what I gain is prestige, for being one of the first to recognize and purchase his debut work. The Vice Guildmaster whistled in appreciation. That's sharp blam. The man chuckled. Well then let's lock it in, shall we, haha. On the main character's side, he felt a bit awkward after listing the item. He rubbed the back of his neck thinking, now that it's up, I'm suddenly embarrassed. It's been a while since I've forged. It was just to get used to the game. What if no one buys it? A bell chimed. A notification popped up. Item Hyun's first sword has been sold. He jumped. Sold already. Didn't I list it for 100 gold? A book appeared. He opened it, looked, and gasped. Wait, what was the final price? The page flashed and a number appeared. His pupils contracted. 1,000,001. The main character burst out laughing. That's crazy. The buyer's card slid out, blam, a Golden Shield Guild. He murmured the name again. Golden Shield Guild. With it came a polite invitation letter. Hello, I am Blam of the Golden Shield Guild. We are honored to have purchased Hyun's debut piece. Our guild's doors are always open to exceptional individuals. If you are interested in an exclusive sales contract or guild membership, please contact us. He thought about the name on the card. The Golden Shield Blacksmith Guild. The main character tapped open their information page. The number jumped 780,000 followers. He was taken aback. 780,000 followers. Jihoon said getting followers is harder than leveling up. More followers means more attention, and attention translates directly into profit. Meanwhile, my own feed only has 82 followers. Even so, he opened his mailbox. Papers flew around him as messages flooded in. The Blue Hammer Guild makes a stunning offer. The Artemis Guild extends an invitation. The Truth Guild sends greetings. The 3 big guilds all want to recruit Hyunsu. More guilds continued to message him. We will provide support. Please join our guild. The notifications concluded. Recruitment offers from various guilds continue to pour in. Aris was waiting for the blacksmiths who had vanished from the real world. The value of a craftsman's skill shone even brighter when backed by data and results. But it wasn't time to join a guild just yet. He stopped in front of the Lord's castle. The morning wind wrapped around him. He told himself, I haven't even shown half of my abilities. My true value starts here. But inside the castle, a voice called out softly, Bell. Is it really impossible? Inside the castle, the Lord sat on his throne and continued in a low voice. So then, an attendant replied, Yes, my lord. Restoration always carries the risk of failure. If it breaks, it's gone forever. The man added, That's why we must find the best restoration expert in the land. That person is only in the capital. He smiled and said, Indeed, my lord, but he is very selective. He almost never meets with anyone. To invite him all the way to the Baden territory, I'm afraid. The Lord nodded. No, and I can't abandon my duties to go myself. He looked down at the item on the tray, his voice heavy. It's the only memento I have of my father. A bow with a strange shape unlike any seen before. I'm out of options. A brown-haired blacksmith bowed low, a sly smile on his face. He thought to himself, sweet, this is almost in the bag. An interface flashed. User Bell, level 100. Class Rogue Transcendent. Currently disguised as a blacksmith. Smooth talker, he thought. I spent a week gaining the trust of this old geezer Lord Vans. Now it's time to reap the reward. The Lord nodded about to finalize the deal. The restoration fee will be 300 gold. Hearing this, Bell grinned widely. Of course. Yes, just entrust the bow to me. I will take it to the capital and have it perfectly restored. A voice echoed through the great hall. That bow can be restored. Everyone turned in surprise. The main character stepped out into a sliver of light from the doorway, his eyes calm. That bow can be restored right here. Bell's face went pale, his jaw clenched tightly. Rage flared in his mind. What bastard dares to ruin my plan? The Lord was startled. This scorched bow, you're saying you can restore it right here. The Lord called for a guard. Who is this person? The guard replied, yes, my lord. He carries a letter of introduction from Instructor Railson. The Lord nodded and said, Railson from the Novice Training Center. As the Lord of Baden, I ask you, tell me your skills and experience. A system window appeared. Lord Vans, he is requesting your level and class information. The protagonist stood tall, his voice calm. My name is Hyon Sun. I am level 1 and my class is no class. Instantly, B.O. roared, ridiculous! A level 1 punk dares to act so cocky in front of the Lord. He doesn't even have a class. Don't you know restoration? It can only be learned by a blacksmith over level 80. Get lost and stop wasting my time. I've already spent a whole week on this scram. The protagonist walked past him, shaking his head. You are mistaken. The protagonist's eyes scanned the bow. This isn't just a bent bow. This is a type of composite bow called a bloodhorn bow. The hall fell silent. Everyone froze. Their eyes widened in surprise. He then reached out to touch the bow and added, I heard from the guard baker. You want to restore your father's bow, and after it was burned. A gift received from a mysterious foreigner. A bow, with a shape never before seen in this land. Just then the Lord waved his hand and replied, That's enough. I am usually generous to strangers in my domain. But I am tired of those who use family heirlooms as a pretext to deceive me. From now on, only say things you can take responsibility for. The protagonist continued, Please allow me to confirm one thing. Even though it was a gift from a foreigner, this bow was originally made right here in your lands. Correct. Hearing this, a look of clear surprise appeared on the Lord's face. Then the young man added, On my way into the great hall, I saw a painting of beasts that looked like water buffalo. Even in my world, their horns are a precious material. But what caught my attention was the curve of the bow's limbs. Instead of ox sinew, it uses whale sinew. Can you explain that? The Lord paused, then nodded. Correct. That foreigner was my father's friend, a blacksmith. The beast you mentioned is indeed the water buffalo, a monster from the Baden swamp. Their horns, along with the whale sinew brought from Port Baden, are both rare and precious. From those materials, he gifted my father a bow, a masterpiece of Badin. That is why I requested a very high-level blacksmith for this job. I cannot let my father's memento decay. I only hope I can entrust it to the right person. If there's any other way... The Lord asked for his name again, his voice low. If you are willing, I want to ask you to restore this memento. The system window flashed. Favorability with Lord Vanstang has increased. Reward pending. Then he turned and said, Bayo, you may leave. I will call when I need you. He gritted his teeth and replied softly, Yes, I understand. He sullenly left the hall, rage boiling in his mind. That bastard Hyan's son. Sooner or later I'll make you pay. Then the Lord asked immediately, So what do we need to prepare to restore this bow? The protagonist answered clearly, If possible, please bring me swamp buffalo horn and whale sinew. I will also need mulberry wood oil, bamboo, and a finishing toolkit. The system window appeared. You have fully identified the materials of the bow. You have unlocked the restoration method for the archer's bloodhorn bow. The process will take several days, and if it fails, the bow will be destroyed. The darkness suddenly pulled back into a memory. The young boy sat by a charcoal stove, hunched over, hugging a bow frame. Dad, this is enough drinking for me, right? The sturdy man smiled gently. I already told you you can do it yourself. He looked at his son's calloused hands, yet he still smiled brightly. Do you really love making bows that much? The boy looked up, his eyes sparkling. He nodded without a hint of hesitation. As long as I get to do it with you, Dad, I love it. His father ruffled his hair. You silly kid. Dad will teach you how to spin the bowstring and process the materials just right. Before you get completely used to the bow frame, you must first learn to feel the materials. The boy replied immediately, Yes, Dad, but back in the present, tears streamed down his face. He thought to himself, That's right, Dad. With this 99% synchronization and every sensation in my hands, I can do this perfectly, exactly as you taught me. Just then the Lord walked in from the doorway smiling. I will help too. 3 nights passed over the residence. The thwack of an axe splitting wood echoed. The wooden plank was shaved smooth layer by layer. The protagonist sat crafting by hand, wrapping the cord, heating, and bending the bow's curve over red coals. Sweat dripped down as he thought. When I work all day, my hands still have their limits. But seeing him so happy gives me more motivation. Scene changed to 1 week later. However, the thought of being stuck with it for a whole week The Lord was now slumped over his hands between his thighs, his voice trembling. Can I go back and take care of important matters first? The young man shook his head. No, please stay with me to work on the frame. The reason you come here every day is because you want to restore your father's memento with your own hands, right? The Lord paused, then smiled sadly. Right. That bow is the only thing that holds my memories of my father. And you, Hyeon-sun, you seem very happy making the bloodhorn bow. The protagonist smiled and said, yes. I also have many fond memories with a bow just like this. He extended a hand toward the Lord, then said with sincere emotion, memories take time and effort to restore. The Lord replied softly, I understand. Yes. On the 10th day, the horn was bent over the fire. On the 15th day, the sinew was evenly twisted. White-colored liquid simmered in the pot. On the 20th day, sweat dripped onto the table. The layers of wood and horn were glued together. And on the final day, the archer's bloodhorn bow is complete. A golden light flared up. The item card appeared before them, with its attributes shining brightly. Great epic durability 3500 attack 253. Level requirement 80+. Note, this bloodhorn bow has been recreated more exquisitely and skillfully than the original. Cut to the outside. The Lord looked up at the statue in the garden. Father, do you see once again? A mysterious person has given me back the bow. The young man added, my lord, please give it a try. Draw the string with the same feeling you remember. He stood firm, squinted his eyes, and drew the bloodhorn bow to his cheek. Thwack! The arrow shot forward, embedding itself in the center of the target. He gasped, then burst out laughing. It's not like before, it's much stronger. The system announced, bloodhorn bow restoration complete, rating excellent. Favorability with Vans has reached its maximum. The young man bowed. Thank you for your cooperation, my lord. The Lord added, now I can fulfill my duty, with a sense of satisfaction in my heart. But the promised reward seems too little for your efforts. A notification window flashed. Quest reward has been upgraded due to outstanding success. He continued, besides the 2,000 gold, I grant you free use of the domain's forge. The protagonist was startled, mentally calculating. 2,000 gold is equivalent to 2,000 once so sick. The Lord looked at him as if he'd just remembered something. He lifted a sword, firelight reflecting along the steel blade, then smiled and asked, have you ever considered learning swordsmanship before becoming a lord of Baden? Vans was a swordsman who practiced the primordial sword technique. It is the sword style of the Bram Kingdom, which repelled monsters from all four corners and stabilized Baden. He looked at the protagonist and spoke slowly, you are undoubtedly a natural-born blacksmith, but I see another potential in you, the talent of a swordsman. Aside from Instructor Railson's letter of recommendation, after observing you firsthand, I am even more confident in my judgment. Good physical condition, quick reflexes when using tools, a deep understanding of weapons. Therefore, I will share with you a part of the core of the sword style I practice. The system opened a skill quest. Train in the primordial sword technique, grade B. Reward primordial sword technique, if training progress reaches 80% or more. He seemed to get into character, radiating a sharp aura as he spoke to him. Time is short. Observe and follow me. Prepare to suffer. Just like how you made me work in the forge. He thought to himself, an unexpected door has opened. A busy month flew by. By day he crafted his own hornbow, restored the tyrant's armor set, and on the grass field the protagonist sparred with the Lord. The harsh clang of steel echoed. Sparks flew out in a brilliant flash. The two dashed past each other. He lowered his center of gravity, blocking diagonally the shockwave running up his arm. Sweat beaded on his brow, but both of them had smiles on their faces. The system window appeared. Training in the primordial sword technique is complete. Afterward, the Lord asked softly, are you leaving soon? The young man nodded in reply. Yes, thanks to you all, my preparations are complete. He asked further, so where do you plan to go next? He opened his eyes as if all his plans were set and said, now I intend to get a main class. The Lord laughed freely. If you ever need my help, feel free to come back any time. Leaving the residence, the protagonist thought to himself, all right, goodbyes are done. Before I leave, I should organize my things. He checked the equipment he had crafted and restored. The tyrant's armor set is good enough for low levels, thanks to the damage reflection skill. To cover the costs of upcoming quests, I'll quickly forge a few rare bows and put them up for auction. 4 status windows appeared. High and second bow, rare grade. Durability 2,400, attack 94, level restriction 60 or below. Special ability agility 7. Accuracy stat plus 13%. Note, this bow is made entirely from materials in the novice zone. It is nearly impossible to forge again outside this zone. He mumbled, let's see how much this sells for this time. The interface went dark. The image of the bow hovered in the auction house, and a knight was looking up at it. Something unbelievable just happened. Even break? The #1 blacksmith in the country at level 10 couldn't make a bow like that. And yet this High Sun guy is only level 1, and he managed to craft that bow using only low-level materials. The world's #1 blacksmith. Smith once said that in this game, everything ultimately depends on Ares. If Ares is moved by a person's gameplay, the creator of the game will grant them a class, skills, and a deserving title. High Sun's forging skill has already leaped to the point where he can craft artifacts, not much different from Smith, a player with a legendary title. This man is Run the Guildmaster of the Golden Shield Guild, the one with the legendary title. A scene transition to the protagonist. The final bid appeared $2.50 gold. Someone paid 2,001 for a bow in a game. To reiterate, the protagonist currently has the title No Class. Looking at the system panel, he thought, my follower count is up to 3,200. Guild invites and commission requests are flooding in so fast I can't read them all. All right, let's go. He set off for the holy land of blacksmiths, his destination the Tower of Blacksmiths. He crossed forests, mountains, green streams, and sun-drenched grasslands. Finally, he stood before a tower that stretched straight up, even more majestic up close. He approached the tall door, locked with purple glowing chains. He paused, wondering to himself, now how do I get in? The system panel appeared. This is the Tower of Blacksmiths, a tower of challenges. To become a blacksmith, you must break the seal with a sword, forged in the magic furnace. Just then, the protagonist lightly touched the lock, thinking, so this thing is made of stone. It's like a hard volcanic rock. He looked up and whispered, a magic furnace, huh? I see. The stone door creaked open, revealing a dark blue corridor. The system announced, you have entered the magic furnace. He walked straight inside. 4 system panels lit up. You can receive training to forge the sword needed for the test. Materials and tools are provided infinitely. Crafting time is significantly reduced compared to normal forging. However, swords forged here can only be used in the test. He looked at it and said to himself, so the test is to use a sword to break the sealing stone. They're just testing forging skill. A sword that can cut stone. In another chamber of the furnace, an old blacksmith sat perched enraged. Trash! They're all the same. This old man's name is Den, the master of this tower. He continued angrily. They all just fixate on asking if I learn this. How much money can I make? What should I forge to get gold fast? Only thinking about selling junk by exploiting skill tricks. No one cares about true forging. They all do it for the gold. If you just want the title of blacksmith, then just piece together a sword and swing it around. My part in this is over. No one will ever be able to cut the sealing stone. At most, they'll scratch it a little, but cutting it is completely impossible. The protagonist replied in a monologue to the system, I will forge a Damascus sword. A prompt appeared. Damascus swords can only be forged by master-level blacksmiths. It is recommended to use a basic iron short sword. He looked up. Since I can use any material here, as long as I know the method, I can still try, right? His father's voice seemed to echo in his mind. High Sun, a sword can even cut stone. Dad will teach you how to forge the sword that I developed. If I just follow his instructions, I should be able to pass this quest too. He observed the workshop around him. Before him was a complete magic refinery. All the tools were in place. The ore needed for Damascus was piled up endlessly. The forging time condition was also shortened. A smile curved his lips. This game is insane. Finally, it's time to forge from the heart. The resounding clang of a hammer echoed throughout the tower. The old blacksmith was startled awake. What in the world is that shaking? The whole tower is shaking. Is someone hammering? What on earth is happening? A flash of golden light tore through. The chains on the sealed door burst apart. The old man's eyes widened as he stammered, impossible. Someone managed to slice through the sealing stone. From the bright opening, the protagonist stepped in. The shadow of his cloak stretched long across the stone floor. The old man was speechless, then gasped. Finally, the revered one has descended amid a swirl of dust. He looked at the man and called out softly, excuse me now. Cut to a short time later. Inside the fortress, the old man led the protagonist and asked, you've already passed the test, haven't you? But until now, they've measured ability with the sealing stone. But you, a god of forging, have cut it apart, so it can't be measured anymore. Hearing that, he was slightly taken aback and thought, does this mean I have to take the test again? In the middle of the great hall, a glowing circle appeared. Magical energy rose up like a pillar of fire. He took a closer look at the magic circle. Den answered curtly, it's a summoning circle. Now take my hammer. He reached out to take it, and a notification flashed. You have received Den's hammer. An SS rank quest has begun. Suddenly, the old man pushed him into the magic circle and said, there is a real challenge you must overcome, but you must overcome it. O revered one who has descended, a powerful force swept him into the air. The light gradually faded. He fell onto a cold stone parapet, dazed, holding his forehead. Huh. What was all that about? That was so sudden. He looked around and whispered, "A retest for real?" The ground shook as monsters poured forth like a waterfall. Brawny shadows roared and charged forward. A notification appeared. S-rank quest. Suppress the invading orc army. He was stunned and yelled, "What a blacksmith quest is like this?" On the castle wall, the wind howled. He stood watching the purple light at the far end of the hills. A shout echoed up from the courtyard below. "Reinforcements have arrived!" He was startled and stammered. "Reinforcements? You mean me?" Another notification appeared. Completion condition. Achieve 70% contribution among 50 brave warriors. The clanking of shields and armor rang out. Soldiers lined up to welcome him. A man stepped forward smiling. "Thank you for coming." A line of text appeared. Han, level 48. The man introduced himself. "I am Han, captain of the suppression squad. The orcs' attacks on the Bram Kingdom have become increasingly fierce. Many of our weapons are damaged from the constant fighting. Can you repair them quickly? And with your skills." The protagonist shook his head. "I think you're mistaken. I haven't changed my class to Blacksmith yet, so I can't use any skills." Han's eyes widened as he pointed at his hand. What's that hammer you're holding?" He looked down at the hammer's handle. Sure enough, he was holding the hammer that old Den had shoved into his hand. He quickly waved his hands. "It's a misunderstanding, a big misunderstanding. I received this hammer during my promotion test. Then I was sent here for an additional test." Han frowned and asked directly, "So what is your combat experience?" The protagonist answered honestly, "I'm still just a novice in combat." Han stiffened for a moment, thinking, "I thought we were getting reinforcements. But in the end, I have to babysit a rookie. And today the invaders are unusually aggressive. What should I do?" He looked out at the fiery battlefield and made a decision. "This situation is critical. You wait at the watchtower. It's safer there. Wait for us to return." He hadn't finished his sentence when a whistling sound tore through the air. Han's eyes widened. Clang! A brilliant flash of light exploded. An axe blade came spinning like a storm. He swept his sword, deflecting the axe. It clattered to the ground. Han was stunned by what he saw. The protagonist spun and lowered his sword, speaking decisively. "Even though I'm inexperienced, please let me join the battle." Then he thought to himself, "Damn, it really is a retest." Captain Han was still staring at the protagonist, wondering, is he really a beginner? A moment later, the warriors looked at each other, puzzled. Then all charged down to the front line. Flames flickered at the foot of the red hill. He tightened his grip on his sword hilt and told himself, "If I fight like I did against the goblins, I should be fine." Captain Han pointed. "Heon, you'll be with Ban's squad. He'll guide you step by step." Ban looked at the protagonist and laughed heartily. "Hey, let's help each other out. I'll go first to show you." He stepped forward, facing the charging, screaming horde of orcs. His axe and shield swept out in a streak of light. He twisted his hips to block a blow. The axe blade scraped past, sending sparks flying. As the protagonist witnessed this, his breathing grew heavier. Sweat dripped from his temple as he thought, "The pressure is completely different from the goblins. This is a real battle." He lowered his center of gravity, gathered his strength, and lunged straight into an opening of the orc in front of him. "But I don't feel like I'm going to lose." He planted his feet and swung his sword upwards. A bright flash of light and blood sprayed in a red arc. The orc collapsed. A notification window popped up. "Defeated level 10 orc." Another window followed. "You have received 86 experience points." He wiped a drop of sweat and let out a soft breath. A month of training wasn't wasted. The notifications continued. "You have leveled up. Status level 2. No class." From the rear, Ban cried out in astonishment, wondering, he really hasn't changed his class yet. That's incredible. Just then the protagonist glanced and saw Ban being sneak attacked by an orc from the side. It swung its axe down. The protagonist thought, Ban is in danger. A notification window popped up, switching weapon to bow. He spun around and drew his bow. Magical energy gathered like a halo at the arrowhead. He drew and released. The bowstring sang. The arrow tore through the wind, becoming a streak of fire as it flew. One shot pierced the orc monster, killing it. Its massive body crashed down. Ban whipped his head around in shock, just as another one leapt at his back. He drew the bowstring taut again. Dense magical energy gathered around his arm. He released the arrow like a bolt of lightning. The arrow embedded itself deep in the monster's head. The massive orc collapsed. A notification window lit up. "You have leveled up." His breathing evened out. Another window appeared. "You have leveled up again." Ban was stunned, stammering as he looked at the giant orc's corpse. Taking down something that big with just one arrow? Can a normal person really do that? Han roared, "Snap out of it, Ban." The orcs are swarming high in sun. In that instant, he charged forward, thinking, he risked his life to save me. I was just spacing out in the middle of a battle. Because of me, Heon Sun is surrounded. Ahead, several orcs with red eyes snarled and leaped down on the protagonist in unison. A notification window lit up, switching weapon. The protagonist spun, holstering his bow. He drew a brightly shining sword. The tip of the sword swept in a white arc, slashing an orc cleanly. Then another one roared and charged. A description window flashed. Lightning chain strike. Attacks all enemies within a 10 mile radius. He moved his feet continuously, his sword path tearing through flesh into pieces. The orcs' bodies were thrown back and fell in heaps. A series of notifications appeared. You have leveled up. Contribution has reached 19%. He lowered the tip of his sword, the orc corpses collapsing behind him. His gaze was fixed on the front line, but Han smirked and laughed loudly. No wonder Den sent him to us. With him by our side, we will achieve things we couldn't do before. Han took a deep breath and roared, "Everyone listen up. Today with Heon's son we will wipe out this orc scum." A notification window appeared. Thanks to your performance, the squad's morale has increased. He smiled faintly and thought, I've really become a part of the suppression squad. The protagonist continued his onslaught. His sweeping sword drew blood. A notification flashed. You have leveled up. Contribution has increased to 28%. He frowned. Why isn't my contribution increasing as fast as I thought? A notification answered. You are defeating orcs faster than anyone else. Hidden quest activated. A new unprecedented development has been unlocked. The ground trembled. From the dust, a giant red-skinned orc appeared. Its brawny arms carried a great axe, its eyes glowing red. A red window appeared. Orc warrior level 51. Han yelled, "Wait! Everyone halt!" He stared intently at the giant orc, his voice low. It finally showed itself. The one we could never defeat before. Our sworn enemy. A panicked cry rang out from behind. Captain! The soldiers were startled when they saw dark figures pouring out, surrounding the hillside. Damn it, we've advanced too far. Ban rushed forward, his eyes blazing. Captain! We are ready. Today we will annihilate them all. The entire squad's morale soared. Their formation tightened. Swords and shields were raised in unison, pointing straight ahead. But we will never retreat. The shout echoed across the hillside. Yeah, we can't keep going on like this. Han clenched his jaw, took a deep breath, and shouted, "Everyone charge!" The line of warriors surged forward. The protagonist had a sudden premonition. No, they're losing their cool and rushing in. He took half a step back and raised his bow, drawing the string taut in the wind. His eyes followed the orc shadows, waiting for a counterattack. I'll provide support with my bow. A volley of arrows flew, striking the giant orc's helmet directly, but they couldn't penetrate. He paused. The arrows are useless. This bow has armor penetration and accuracy stats. But these orc warriors are as tough as solid plate. Just using a bow won't be enough to injure them. But Han gritted his teeth. It's still not enough. Do we really have to retreat again? A shout erupted from the formation. We can't fall back anymore, charge. A red blade slashed diagonally. Han and the giant orc rushed past each other, and the older man's arm was severed. Blood spurted out. Han took a hit and his figure collapsed. His eyes widened as he yelled, "Captain Han!" Nearby Ban, his shield dented, breathed heavily and thought to himself, it's hopeless. We can barely even scratch their armor. At this rate, we're all gonna die. But the red-helmeted giant orc advanced. The heat was scorching his face. The main character clenched his jaw and shouted, "Everyone, if we keep fighting like this, we'll just have more casualties. Get into formation and hold the line. Defense only. Retreat to the forest behind us, I'll keep it busy." Ban's voice responded on Hyunsu's command. Get the captain to safety, then regroup. Quickly into the forest, set up a defensive line. The whole team fell back in formation among the shadows of the trees. Ban, panting, ran beside him. "Hyunsu, our speed will slow down in the forest." This is just buying time. He glanced back at the blood-soaked battlefield. He gripped his sword hilt, took a deep breath, and spoke softly but firmly. "Just give me 5 minutes, okay?" Ban was startled, then nodded firmly. "All right, we'll hold the line no matter what happens." The cold wind, thick with the metallic scent of blood, whipped past him as he moved through the trees, wondering. I just said the arrows can't penetrate. That thick armor. No. His hand tightened around an engraved hammer. A notification appeared. Den's duplication hammer, epic grade. Duplicates consumable items during crafting +1. Reduces crafting time. A hammer that once belonged to the great blacksmith Den of the tower. He stared into the hammer's reflection and whispered, I can do this. At the edge of the forest, the roars rose again. His brothers in arms charged with a roar, the pressure sweeping over them like a storm. But they were still killed by the giant orc in a single punch. 3 warriors raised their shields at the forest's edge, sweat dripping down. Ban was panting. We have to hold on, just 5 more minutes. The red-armored orcs advanced relentlessly. Ban kept repeating those words. Just 5 minutes. Ban gritted his teeth. His voice grew hoarse. Any longer and we're all toast. But we will not retreat. Hammers and axes rained down. Ban braced his shield, taking the blow as a heavy axe came down. But just then, the orc's body was sliced in half by something. Ban stumbled back, choking out, "What the hell?" On a distant slope, Hyun drew his bowstring. Light gathered at the tip of his arrow. The red-helmeted orcs sensed the terrifying power and let out a long scream. They charged straight for him. But one was shot by an arrow that went straight through its head. Ban, surprised, called out his name. A notification window appeared. Azasan Short Arrow. Rare. Attack 95. Properties. Armor penetration plus 70%, arrow speed plus 60%. Being short, it flies faster than any other arrow. Its destructive power is enough to shatter stone, he mumbled to himself. Split bamboo to make a launching trough. Then use the blacksmith's hammer to duplicate it. The arrow was engraved into an Azasan. He equipped the Azasan arrow with the hornbow. Set effect activated. Attack power increased by 5%. Armor penetration increased by 10%. At the forest's edge, his comrades roared. Block them, clear a path for Hyun-soo. He drew the string taut. He thought the penetrating power of the Azasan rival's explosive weapons. Then he released it, a spinning light that plunged into the red-armored orc's chest. A notification appeared. You have defeated an orc warrior. You have leveled up. Next was the title, Orc Slayer. Damage to orcs increased by 15%. Orcs will fear you. They froze, their roars choked off. Then they turned and fled. Seeing this, a warrior shouted, "They're scared! They're running away!" After them, the main character leaped over their heads. He drew his bow. The Azasan arrow left the string trailing fire and pierced right through a chest. SS rank quest objective. Suppress the invading orc army. He lowered his bow, standing on a rock overlooking the battlefield. The night wind blew through his hair as his breathing steadied. 6 orc corpses lay scattered. Final contribution 92%. Completed with an incredible score. The call of Hyun-soo echoed across the hillside. The entire suppression team cheered, trusting in his command. Hidden piece obtained. Battlefield leader, charisma plus 10. He turned as he saw Han being helped over. The older man smiled, tired but radiant. For so long, even defending was a struggle. I thought I'd never see this day in my lifetime. We finally defeated the orcs! Our wish for so many years. The entire team placed their hands on their chests to thank him. The main character replied, I thank you all as well. He sighed in relief. The final supplementary test was finally over. Now time to go back to the blacksmith's tower. Then he froze and scratched his head. But how do I get back? In the central tower, a tower loomed amidst snow clouds. But inside, the atmosphere was heavy, due to a prolonged decline. A deep voice laced with suppressed anger echoed. The blacksmith's tower has fallen into decline. Honor and glory now all belong to the knights. Only those blinded by gold. Seek out the blacksmith's tower. We need a true person, one who carries the soul of a blacksmith. And that is the one worthy of wielding this sword. An aura swirled around the sword like ripples in water. A humming vibration spread throughout the great hall. Den continued, his voice bitter. Many candidates have come, yet the prophecy has never come to pass. The words left by Pagma's successor long ago. A successor will appear to bring back prosperity. Another old man scanned the circle of tower masters. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Therefore, among the tower masters, the only one qualified to face the challenge of this sword is you, isn't it? This old man was Gonson the tower master. The Bao blacksmith frowned skeptically. This chosen one might just be a hoax. Summoning everyone who's busy here, just to say that we have to give the right to the challenge to some outsider, and a young one at that. Den replied, Gonson, didn't you read the letter I sent? This is the rightful qualification of one who has passed the test that we set. Furthermore, he hasn't even changed his class yet. And yet he led soldiers and used his smithing skills to wipe out the orcs. The others standing around were stunned, repeating, hasn't changed his class. Wiped them out completely. Den pointed to the purple glowing sword standing in the middle of the hall and said, this test was created according to the legacy. The successor to Pagma's successor will be stronger than anyone. Therefore, the final answer will be decided by this sword. After speaking, he thought to himself, you'll see. A guard hurried to the steps to report. My lord Den. He has arrived at the great hall. Den nodded. Good, bring him in. The sword hummed softly. Footsteps echoed and then stopped at the threshold of light. The great doors opened, and the main character wearing a cloak entered. Den smiled in welcome. Welcome, outsider. You have passed the test and earned the right to enter the blacksmith's sanctuary. Furthermore, you are qualified to challenge. The Thunder Sword is legacy left by Pagma's successor. The main character stood before the radiant green sword. Light rose like fire wrapping around the steel blade. His face was calm, but his eyes shone with curiosity. Den stepped forward, his firm voice echoing through the great hall. The moment you grasp the sword, Everything will be decided. After that, you will receive your rightful reward. The main character paused for a moment, calculating in his head. A rightful reward. I even completed a side quest. SS rank in the class advancement test. Could it be an advancement to a legendary class? Johnson, the old man at the side, chimed in. Your recent performance was impressive. Improvising quickly in a critical moment is not easy. But each arrow you forged was just a variation of the Solinarian. In the end, you were just lucky. If it weren't for that epic-grade bow, you wouldn't have passed the challenge. Now try to draw it. Let's see if luck is on your side again. The main character took a deep breath. The cold feeling from the stone floor rose to his hands. Before him were the Tower Masters, the ones who helped build the legend of Ares. But they were all the highest-level named NPCs, each one with a title and level that made the entire blacksmithing world revere them. Gonson, master of the Zbo Blacksmith Tower, Lover 365. He stepped forward, thinking to himself, truly formidable, but I don't think my skills are inferior to theirs. What if we competed on pure skill without all the titles? The aura on the sword pulsed and trembled, as if it heard his thoughts. The main character let out a soft breath, whispering, I can do this. But at that moment, the sword suddenly erupted. Light and a humming sound swept through the great hall. The Tower Master stumbled back in alarm. The epicenter of the explosion contracted. A stream of blue light twisted into a ribbon and shot straight into his chest. The main character stared in amazement as it entered his body. His hand touched his chest, as the glowing symbol faded beneath his clothes. What is this? Where did the sword go? The silence lasted for a beat. Den burst out laughing, his voice filling the sanctuary. Ha 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 ha! This is the meaning of the Thunder Sword's legacy. That has been prophesied for so long. We've only been setting up rituals and procedures. If it's the true successor, there's no need to even touch the sword. Gonsoon gritted his teeth, cursing under his breath as he glared at him. A golden frame flared to life in the middle of the great hall. Congratulations on the first god class of Ares. He froze for a beat, then wondered to himself. It's me. Not Matoseo, but me. The next line of text scrolled past his eyes. You have class changed to Pagma's successor. The main character's chest vibrated lightly with the rhythm of the aura. Pagma's successor, just like that. Another information window appeared. Hyunsu, Level 10 Pagma's successor. He swallowed hard, whispering to himself. A god class, and the very first one in Ares, too. The blue notification lit up again with a definitive line. Unique title SS Pagma's successor. The light subsided. He stood tall in the middle of the sanctuary. As for the Tower Masters, they looked at him as if they had just witnessed a living legend. Blue information windows appeared one after another before his eyes. When forging magic items, you are not limited by the level of the materials. Mastery level will increase for each item type. As a blacksmith, you will be stronger than anyone. Finally, the class quest. The sword's challenge starts at level 100. A murmur arose from behind. The sword has chosen that outsider. Then it's just as the Thunder Sword's legacy foretold. The successor of the blacksmith god is... Cutting off the gossip, old Gonson roared loudly. I do not accept this. We, the Tower Masters, have awaited the great successor. Prophesied by the gods, we cannot conclude that the sword's choice is the will of the Thunder Sword's legacy. Seeing this, Den shouted loudly, Hey, Gonson! The Thunder Sword's legacy is absolute. This is not a joke. He ignored the advice and added, 4. The successor will be one who is recognized by all Tower Masters. That is also part of the Thunder Sword's legacy. Therefore, I, Gonson, master of the Bow Blacksmith Tower, challenge you, outsider. A blacksmith's duel. If you defeat me in this duel, only then will I acknowledge you as the successor. But if I win, you will renounce the position chosen by the Thunder Sword's legacy. Give up. Seeing this, Den immediately shouted in anger. Have you lost your mind? Someone restrain Gonson now. But contrary to his words, nearly all the Tower Masters agreed with Gonson. They fell silent, avoiding his gaze. Den glanced around, frowning slightly. Them too! But with that silent support, old Gonson smirked, with a look of contempt. It's fine if you want to give up. In that case, I will grant you the position of Vice Tower Master. Of course, on the condition that you obediently receive training under my hand. The old man sneered. Just then he took a step forward. His voice was calm. Fine, I accept your challenge. Let's settle this with a battle. An information window popped up. Hyunsu, the Level 10 Pagma's successor, like the whisper of a flame, a secret skill for blacksmiths. He stared intently and continued. Let's see what your craft is made of. Then a notification. You can now use God's custom creation. The Blacksmith's Duel. Blacksmith Duel Quest created ranks. Defeat Gonson. The old man smirked. Our way of dueling is different from the knight's. A creation forged with one's own soul. The rules are simple. We will duel with swords we have forged ourselves. The one whose sword breaks first loses. The old man pointed to a glowing white door. The best forge has been prepared in the hall. Now that you have the blacksmith skill, the one day is enough to forge a weapon. If you truly are Pagma's successor, then I'll see you tomorrow. 3. As the tower masters dispersed, Den approached. He whispered to the main character, his voice serious. You accepted the challenge too quickly. Gonsun is one of the best tower masters. Even with the power of a god, you still need time to grow and develop. The main character looked at the swirling light on the ceiling and nodded slightly. True, if I were still in my old profession, this match would be impossible to win. But now I will breathe soul into my sword. Let it speak. 4. The in-game world arena. Here, skills and buffs are granted according to level and title. Above all the tower masters, each has their own unique abilities. But when I change to a god class, those differences are gone. Now the only thing that creates a difference is pure craftsmanship. Because of the skill I just obtained, the skill panel lit up. Skill Lavara 1, God's Custom Creation active. God Tier 1 can customize and create desired magic items. Can attach any effect to a magic item. The higher the effect tier, the harder the crafting. Applied efficiency from 0 to 100%. Based on crafting proficiency. The sound of a hammer echoed in the forge. Old Gonsun pulled the ingot from the fire. His eyes reflected the glowing coals, his hand steady and sure. I am a blacksmith, one who forges swords and bows. The old man gripped the hammer handle tightly. The flames roared higher. The ringing of steel mingled with the night before the duel. The art of sword forging passed down through generations. Inheriting the trade from my father, and I believed I was the worthy successor. But then someone even more brilliant appeared. From then on, instead of becoming a swordsmith, I had to switch to becoming the master of the bow blacksmith tower. The bitterness in my throat I still chose to accept, bowing my head in service to Den. But that bastard dragged some outsider from who knows where, and placed that person above him. That is something I cannot swallow. Gonsun gritted his teeth. The hammer struck clangorously, flames engulfing the forge ceiling. That bastard put an outsider above me. I can never accept this. The hammering grew faster, sparks flying like thunderclaps, signaling the official start of the blacksmith's duel. On the main character's side, he took a breath and pulled the steel blade from the furnace mouth. Den, watching from the side, thought to himself, embedding attributes into a sword. A sword? Regarding the process of embedding attributes into a magic item, everything follows the rule of all or nothing. To gain an advantage in this match, I must prioritize durability. Then push the weapon's attributes to the maximum. To get that exact capability, the only way is to forge at the highest possible tier. Den watched sweat beading on his temples, murmuring to himself. Durability and attributes? He's only at the rare tier. The edge of the blade reflected the dark coals. Den, nervous, wondered. Hyunsu, what in the world is Pagma's successor thinking? And what will he do? Scene changed to the next day. As the two men stepped out to face each other, around them a circle of tower masters stood watching silently. The main character lowered the tip of his self-forged sword, tightening his grip on the hilt. Ready for the first clash. 4. Gonsun smirked. Since you didn't run away, I assume you forged something all night. Let's see if it's worthy of being called the successor of a god. First, let me introduce my sword. The old man drew a long sword, its cold blue light sweeping across the stone floor. An information panel appeared. Dark Knight, Gonsun's sword. Unique. Durability, 12,000. Attack power, 664 plus. Special abilities, plus 35% durability. Swordsmanship, plus 2 levels. Passive skill. Weapon break. Active skill. Aura of the Dark Knight. The Tower Masters let out a soft "oh." As expected, Gonsun's skill is extraordinary. To forge a perfect, unique sword. In just one night. Another gasped, "It looks magnificent, truly impressive." Gonsun snorted, his eyes glowing with arrogance. "This masterpiece inherits the traditions and secrets of my family. Now show me your sword." The two Tower Masters froze. Their eyes widened as a light flashed in the workshop. A notification panel appeared in mid-air. Hyun's first custom-made sword, rare. Durability, 1,000. Attack power, 177. He gripped the sword's hilt. The blade emanated a blue light as he stood tall, facing his opponent. A gasp escaped from one of the Tower Masters. "A rare-grade sword? That's ridiculous." Perhaps Gonsun was right. The old man tightened his grip on his sword hilt and snorted coldly. "Then this time you've made a grave mistake." He took his stance, his thoughts filled with contempt. A waste of time for a brat and his pathetic toy. He roared and charged forward. "Let's end this here." The main character raised his sword, his gaze calm, while the old man gathered his strength, screaming as he charged down. The sword came down hard towards him. The two of them brushed past each other. One of the swords had been broken in two. The entire audience stared intently. Gonsun's eyes were bloodshot. He glanced towards the main character. The broken half of the sword fell to the ground with a clang. The duel had almost reached its conclusion. and the final result was in. In the light, the old man froze, his breathing ragged, his hand trembling. The sword he had made was broken in two. He whispered hoarsely, "How did you—" The main character looked at him calmly, his deep voice explaining, "A sword's worth is not determined solely by its grade." The blade in his hand glowed brightly. An information window appeared. Hyun's first custom-made sword, rare. Durability, 900, 1000. Active skill, sword breaking slash. 65% chance to break the opponent's weapon. Unique. Cannot be repaired. Destroyed when durability reaches 0. But in the silent moment, an old voice echoed as if from Gonson's memory. "My son, one day, the god of blacksmiths will appear in this land. One who will shatter conventional thinking and lead us with new teachings. And everyone will have the chance to meet him." A young Gonson looked up. "Father, if I also become a great blacksmith, will I be able to receive his teachings?" The image of his blacksmith father placing a hand on young Gonson's head in the brightly lit workshop. Returning to the present, Den stood tall, thinking to himself, just breaking the sword. It wouldn't be enough to convince the tower masters. So he said he would forge a sword that breaks other swords. Cut to the night before Den asked the main character, "Is that really possible?" He answered concisely, "It's never been easy. Creating a creation of that caliber, it always lies in the skill and sweat of the blacksmith." A description panel appeared, God's customization. The higher the effects tier, the harder the crafting. The applied effect ranges from 0 to 100%, depending on the crafting skill. Cut back to the present. Den looked at him and thought, a bold choice that defies common sense. With the knowledge and ability to turn vision into reality, he possesses all of it. Old Gonson's lips parted slightly as he said, "Pagma's successor. Could I forge a sword like that?" The main character smiled without answering. Then his calm voice rang out. "The word impossible does not exist." Warm light flooded the workshop, like knowledge bestowed by a god. The old man knelt on one knee, still clutching the hilt of the broken sword. "I, Gonson, master of the bow tower, and now I stand before Pagma's successor." The final notification appeared. Blacksmith dual quest completed. Light poured down on the forging tower. Gonson and Den approached the main character respectfully. "Sir Hyunsu, please accept this." They offered a wooden chest, its lid popping open. Gold flashed with a blinding light. "First 500 gold coins." The main character thought, looking at the treasure. "This is the quest reward, huh? And this is a scroll containing a crafting recipe for a legendary bow. Passed down in the blacksmith's tower." A notification panel appeared. Legendary bow crafting recipe obtained. One of the 10 treasures of Gonson's blacksmith tower. Gonson said sincerely, "Honestly, I have never been able to complete this recipe. Giving it to you, who is walking a greater path, is its proper use." Den suddenly added, "Now that Pagma's successor has appeared, we too will strive again from the beginning. Therefore, Sir Hyunsu, please aim for the pinnacle of strength. Step out and explore the wider world. The growth of a god begins here." The scene shifts back to the city. 2 beer cans clinked together. Kim Ji-hun burst out laughing. "I can't believe I'm drinking beer bought by Hyunsu today. And on top of that, you even got a god tier class. That's crazy. I recommended Ares because I thought your talent was being wasted. But I never expected you to be this good at games. After suffering in the workshop for so long, you're finally seeing the light. What's so different about a god tier class anyway?" The main character answered calmly. "For now, there probably won't be any major changes right away. What's more important is, tomorrow I have to go pay my father's hospital bills. In the meantime, the hospital has added 10 million won in treatment costs." Kim Ji-hun added, "I looked into that new medicine you asked about. Because it's not covered by insurance, it's a minimum of 20 million won. And then there's your burn treatment as well. Just having a class isn't enough to make money. You're still limited by stamina. You can't just craft and sell items indefinitely. Basically, you have to level up and build your reputation." Hearing this, the main character was lost in thought. Those words repeated in his head. "The growth of a god begins now." Kim Ji-hun lowered his voice as if plotting. "You need to build connections with the most famous people in Ares. That way, even quests of the same rank will give you bigger rewards and rarer items. Then based on that, you can continue forging top-tier creations." The main character thought quietly. Build connections with the most famous people. Suddenly, a completely drunk Kim Ji-hun slammed the table and shot up. "I have an idea. Wait a minute. Your big bro here will grind for the best achievements and then pull you up." The main character sighed. "You just try not to get fired first." Kim Ji-hun snapped back. "Hey, I'm serious." At the same time, elsewhere, the Ares user community forum was displayed. Chat bubbles popped up continuously. "Have you guys heard about this? The guy who was always stuck at rank 21 finally reached the legendary rank." Another person typed, shocked. "No way, for real." The person on the other end replied, "But that's not all. The best part is that he defeated Sword King Barad. The other person reading this asked back, defeated, you mean his attacks could actually damage that Sword King guy? In response to the question, a message appeared. Yeah, for real, no one had ever even touched a hair on his head before. The words, quest completed, flashed across the screen. Then the other person asked, so how the hell did he do it? That's freaking insane. The scene shifts to a fiery battlefield. Sword King Barad, his entire body ablaze, his eyes glowing orange, and behind him a sword-wielding warrior was panting heavily. It seemed impossible to harm him. Sparks flew from Sword King Barad's sword. Flames wrapped around it as if to swallow the stone floor. Scene changed to the main character. 30 million won a month. He stood in front of the hospital clutching his phone. Today I have to pay the overdue hospital bill. 30,000. One is equivalent to 560,000 Vietnamese dong. Everyone, he calculated in his head. Even if I combine the quest reward and the auction house profit, it's still not enough. I can't let Dad's treatment stop. Just then his phone vibrated. The screen showed a sales notification. Nam's first custom-made sword has been sold for 53,310 gold. The buyer was Lot. He blurted out Lot. The main character's eyes widened, and he rushed to the cashier's counter. I'd like to pay the entire bill, and that's due right now. His breathing hitched. The main character clenched his fist. I will never stop playing Ares again. A chat bubble popped up from Lot. Young Master Hyun. Thank you so much. Lot messaged, thanks to your sword, young master. I was able to fulfill my wish. To overcome Barad's trial. If anyone understands the value of the sword you forge, they would know. The 90 million won I paid is not a large sum at all. Your blade grazed the Sword King's own sword and created an opening for me. Even Sword King Barad showed clear surprise. The main character, the King of Gozat. Sword King Barad is waiting for you. He wants you to forge him a sword. The main character looked up, repeating in his head. Sword King Barad. The text emphasized. Go and meet him. A cold wind swept across the hospital steps. The main character clutched his phone, thinking about his father's hospital bills and the new medicine. If I can pull this off, I can solve everything. I have to go meet Sword King Barad, and I will reclaim my lost forge. My own too. Morning in the city. A black car stopped in front of the gate of an old house. A burly man in a suit got out. He looked up at the moss-covered tiled roof and the forge behind the wall. He muttered softly, a forge in this day and age? He stood up straight, his voice deep. Hyun, our promise is only a month away. Night fell. The main character sat in his room. His heart pounded as he listened to the phone call. Barad, I can't meet him. The voice on the other end was gruff. You think having a god-tier class solves everything? You're level 10 and you want to meet a king. To meet high-level NPCs, your level and reputation must also be commensurate. To have an audience with Barad, you need to be at least level 200. The main character swallowed hard. The person on the other end concluded, but it's not like there's no way. For the Gozat Martial Arts Tournament, an annual event of the Gozat Kingdom, level cap 50 to 60, where Barad always looks for people with growth potential. Therefore, the Sword King opened the tournament to foreigners as well, and the reward is presented directly by Barad himself. If you want to meet him right away, this is the only way. Cut to inside the game. The wheels of a carriage rolled through the forest. The main character sat on a crate hugging his sword. A message echoed in his head, Sir Hin-Su. Please go to the castle territory. It is the border region between Prom and Gozat, where the war with the undead takes place every day. They need your skills more than anyone. B.A. Casio is the front line, constantly pushing back the undead monsters. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword and thought to himself, according to Den, the fastest place to level up is right there. And I have to clear it. A dark storm brewed in the sky as the fortress came into view. No matter what the mission is, I will complete it. The wind howled through the city walls, dark clouds swirling in the sky. A notification appeared. You have entered the Casal territory. A guard spoke to the main character. You're the reinforcements from the capital, right? You're just in time. We need people right now. The number of undead is increasing dramatically. Hyun-Su entered the city. This person is Captain Render, level 76. Render walked alongside him on the patrol path, explaining. Previously, whenever the holy bell of Ramas rang in the castle territory, the undead would weaken, making them easy to kill. Until now, it was that very sound that kept the undead from approaching. The two walked along the patrol route. The wind was bitingly cold. The main character thought to himself, so that's how the event system works. Render said in a low voice, but not long ago it shattered. We were caught off guard. We only had time to increase our defenses, and the enemy started to smell it and encroached. Hyun-Su looked at it for a long time and asked, Can't it be repaired? Render paused and narrowed his eyes. Don't tell me you're from Lord Jen's place. Hyunsu nodded. Yes, I was sent by the master of the sword blacksmith tower, Janin. Render's face lit up. You should have said so sooner. We've been waiting for you. Come quickly and meet the captain. At the same time, a warrior wearing an eye patch stared intently. So you're saying Lord Gen himself sent you? The information panel clearly showed. The knight captain. Render extended his hand and said, Yes, Captain. He wants to see the Ramos bell in person. Captain Kaz, hearing this, added, Is that so? But Lord Gen has concluded that the Ramos bell is irreparable. Right. He paused. Captain Kaz lowered his voice and continued. The Lord secretly tried to restore it many times. They invited one expert after another, but everyone said the exact same thing. The Ramos bell is broken. It bears the marks of an irreparable creation. There was still one person level 290 who remained. Kaisel tirelessly searched for a way to mend it, but was ultimately powerless. The captain turned and asked directly, What about your abilities? A system window popped up. Captain Cass requests to view your information. The main character confirmed and said, I am currently level 13. The whole team froze. The captain wiped his sweat and said slowly, I don't want to blame you for coming all this way to help, but with that level, it would be better for you to find a place where you can truly contribute. The Cassel territory is on the brink of destruction. As soon as the main undead army begins its advance, that will be the final day. Our duty is to protect this place. We will be here until the very last moment. We have to fulfill our duty no matter what. A shout tore through the wind. A soldier ran up to report. The east wall is under attack. Captain Cass turned around in alarm. Purple figures with glowing red eyes swarmed in. An information panel appeared. Ghoul, level 41. Then Captain Cass gave the order, Sound the alarm for everyone. We will hold the city at all costs. The soldier replied, Yes, sir. Then Captain Cass left and called out, Render, follow me. Then he suddenly stopped and said, And another thing. Everything we just talked about must be kept strictly confidential. Got it, the main character thought to himself. If it's like the orc battle before I can handle it. The quest window popped up. Territory war. Repel the ghouls, hold the city gate. The horn blared, the city walls shaking, as the glowing red horde of ghouls swarmed in like a flood. The soldiers charged in screaming. Sparks flew from their blades, then stopped because the ghoul bones were too tough. But without holy power, it's very difficult to kill them. You have to keep hitting the same spot over and over. Just then, the main character on one side of the city wall shot an arrow. The arrow flew like a bolt of lightning, piercing straight into one of their skulls. A blue explosion erupted. A soldier stared at him in stunned silence and thought. Without holy power, and with just one arrow to the head, a ghoul was killed. The main character took a deep breath. He activated his flying arrow skill, the bowstring humming. A volley of arrows flew out one after another. A streak of light swept through them one after another. An explosion echoed against the wall. The soldiers, seeing this, cheered. Their morale soared. Render said excitedly, Keep 'em coming. We'll take down as many as they can throw at us. Hyunsu drew his bowstring and thought to himself, At this rate I can clear them out. A heavy thud shook the wall. The notification panel flashed. A new story has begun. Quest defeat the giant siege ghoul. From the shadows of the bones, a huge figure emerged, its breath thick and foul. The soldiers present all turned pale. Even a giant ghoul has appeared. We have to call the captain quickly. Giant siege ghoul, level 89. Ranger watching from a corner cursed, Damn it! Captain Cass is trying to hold the gate, there's no one else available. Hyunsu crouched low, his hand gripping the bow tightly. His gaze locked onto the roaring monster. I'll draw the monster's attention for a moment. At this rate, the wall will collapse, Ranger said, gritting his teeth. How can you do that? But Hyunsu had already leaped off the edge of the wall, his cloak flapping in the wind. A horrified shout rang out. It's too dangerous alone. The giant ghoul's claw swept forward. Hyunsu somersaulted, narrowly dodging, then unleashed a flurry of slashes. The main character landed on the ground, his eyes locked on the target. He gritted his teeth and whispered, Not good. I just have to take you down. His breath hitched, then his body shot forward like an arrow. He ran into the distance, and at the same time took down a few of the small fry. A flash of red light swept across the monster as it roared and chased after him. He told himself, First I have to pull it as far away from the wall as possible. He changed direction, sprinting and glancing back. Have I gotten its attention yet? The monster's eyes flashed. It shot forward. Its black foot swung forcefully, the air screaming. He leaned to the side to dodge. Footprints appeared on the ground, a testament to the power of each stomp. That, the main character thought to himself as he ran, How is it so fast? So he quickly drew his bow and an arrow flew far. A halo of light erupted around his hand. His knuckles tensed as he knocked an arrow. With this, he thought, as he slid across the ground. He spun halfway to gain momentum. He drew it back as far as he could and then leaped forward. The twang of the bowstring split the dark night. He let out a low growl, "End this." The arrow shot straight, tearing through the wind in a long streak of light. The monster threw its head back and roared as a red explosion erupted in the middle of its forehead. Its eyes were red like burning coals. It opened its long mouth wide, bearing a mouthful of sharp teeth, and roared thunderously, as if it hadn't been harmed at all. He froze, his heart leaping to his throat, a stunned sound escaping his lips. What? No damage at all. Just then it shrieked and tore through the night. It kicked powerfully towards the main character. He leapt back but still got hit. His body was thrown back, crashing to the ground. Dust and rocks flew everywhere. A warning appeared on the screen. Health below 10%. He flipped over, trying to get to his feet. His breath came in ragged gasps. A ringing sound echoed in his ears, while the monster continued to close in. A cold line of text appeared. When health reaches percent, you will be forcibly logged out. He opened his mouth and screamed, his face contorted in pain and anger. No, not like this. The ground exploded. His body carved a deep trench and then lay flat amidst the rubble. He let out a sharp cry. His fingers dug into the edge of the pit as he pushed himself up. The notification that had just disappeared still echoed, "Forced log out. They think that ridiculous rule will stop me." He looked at the approaching monster. Sweat and dust mixed on his cheeks. A torrent of thoughts flooded his mind. If I don't get through this, I won't be able to participate in the Gozat martial arts tournament. If that happens, Dad's hospital bills, my own treatment, and the path back to my blacksmithing career will all be shattered. A flash of the hospital scene appeared in his mind. His hand trembled, then the memory of the forge burning in red flames. He clenched his lips. I can't go back to being someone with no hope. This game is my only chance to change my life. He stood up straight amidst the dust, facing the giant figure with glowing red eyes. Here, no matter what, I will not give up. He raised his bow, nocked an arrow, and took a deep breath. The wind swirled around him. A flash of lightning glinted off the arrowhead as he drew it back to its fullest extent. With a single shot, the arrow pierced through the monster's leg. It buckled its mouth open in a shriek, but immediately after it shot back up and charged forward furiously. The wind tore past his ears, its claws ripping up the ground. A warning flashed. Your health has dropped below 3%. He gritted his teeth, his biceps trembling, but he still drew his bow. Panting, "No, I will never give up." He leaned back, drawing the string taut. The monster closed in like a black wall. He let out a low growl, "It's not over yet," and released the string. A choked twang in midair. He froze and looked down. The bowstring broke. The deadly gap closed in. The monster's shadow loomed over him. A giant hand descended like a hammer. The ground exploded under its heel. The scene spun. A dim blue notification flickered. Health 1. His body was thrown back, falling in a long arc through the night. A final thought rose in his constricting chest. Is this really the end? No, it can't end like this. He clenched his fist in mid-fall. He roared in his mind. Not like this, I refuse to give up. A notification window appeared. Special condition activated. When HP is below 5%, your will and desire. Meet the qualifications of Pagma's successor. You can learn a new skill. An alarm sounded repeatedly. You have learned God's emergency creation. You can now begin God's emergency creation, but you must forge a weapon in 20 seconds. The created weapon can only be used for 30 seconds. His eyes lit up. This is my chance. The countdown began. The number 19 flashed in midair. He gritted his teeth. To get through this! 4. The material selection window appeared. 1087. His hand moved at lightning speed, gathering the usable fragments. 1065. The metal glowed red on the anvil. 10. The hammer came down with a clang, sparks flying like rain. 1043. The edge of the ingot was drawn out into a blade. The hammering was steady and sharp. 21. He poured all his breath and strength into it. Each strike hammered down, compressing his will. The blade's body took shape under the blinding white light. 99. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He switched hands to draw out the blade's spine. 7654. B.A. The sword's body became clear, a pattern running along it like a circuit. To one shot, the completed blade blazed in his hand. He let out a roar. He raised the newly forged sword high and plunged down like a bolt of lightning. A brilliant red slash cut across the sky. Death vow sword. Swoosh! He swung the sword, cutting through the monster. Its body was sliced in two, blood spraying in an arc. The giant's body swayed. The monster collapsed with a thud, white dust billowing up. He fell to his knees, panting in the middle of the battlefield, his hands trembling. He mumbled, his eyes shining. I did it. A notification window popped up. You have defeated the giant siege ghoul. Received additional experience. Leveled up to 38. He looked up at the bright blue window, panting. With this level, it's enough to... Before he could finish, his body swayed. His vision went dark. A voice called out from afar, "Sir Hyun-soo, Sir Hyun-soo!" Cut to the next day. The sky was clear. He opened his eyes in the bandaged bed and sat up. His head was still spinning. How long has it been? The ghoul. Just then the people in the camp cheered and rushed over. Sir Hyun-soo is awake, a true hero. He blinked, confused. What's going on? The captain approached, his voice full of gratitude. Thanks to you, we survived another day. Thank you. How did you do it? He looked up, his eyes wide. Captain. After that, the main character scratched his head, finding it hard to put into words. It's kind of weird to explain. He laughed. Ha ha. Don't be so modest. Today, thanks to you, we won a great victory. Ghouls are like ghosts weak to holy power. As soon as I realized that, the image of the evil warding sword appeared in his mind. A type of sword that dispels evil spirits and wards off disaster. Remembering Dad's advice about restoration, I was able to summon that sword. And it worked just as I imagined. He smiled faintly. Luckily, it worked just as I thought. Unfortunately, it can only be used once. The captain took something out of his pocket and said, "Oh, and the reward?" He placed a heavy pouch in his hand. A notification window appeared. You have received 2,000 gold. The main character clutched the pouch, his eyes shining. Thank you. He mentally calculated in his head. Slurp, 2,000,001. The captain's voice deepened as he replied, I misjudged you. Please accept my apology. He bowed deeply. He was startled and shot up. Captain! He held the captain's hand and shook his head slightly. Captain, it's all right. Thank you for acknowledging me. A notification window lit up. Affinity with the sword has reached maximum. The captain's voice was stern. Then I would like to formally ask you to repair the Ramo spell. He explained slowly. The sword you wielded earlier had holy power. I felt it very clearly. With that ability, I believe you can do it. The main character scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. I appreciate the offer, but I must now travel to the Gojag Kingdom. He suddenly said, as if he remembered something important. I almost forgot. You are a blacksmith. The Lord has a legendary mineral. If you can repair the bell, he might gift it to you. His eyes widened. A legendary mineral. Cut to inside the castle. Footsteps echoed in the great hall. The two stopped in front of the mansion. The large doors creaked open. The captain smiled. Then he looked inside and froze. His heart pounded. Golden light scattered across the stone pedestal, a thick pile of fragments. The captain pointed. This is the Ramos bell. He swallowed hard and slumped down. Not just cracked, but completely shattered. He tilted his head and looked at the main character. You said you could fix this. Can I trust you? He paused for a moment, then forced a smile. Yes. He kept repeating in his head. It's worse than I thought, but there must be a way. The sound of hurried footsteps. A female warrior entered, her cloak fluttering. Hey, Captain. She glanced at the pile of fragments and said decisively, That thing cannot be repaired. Even I at level 290 couldn't do it. And you say you can? She strode forward, her eyes fixed on him. The corner of her mouth lifted. A charlatan, aren't you? Ben cut to some time ago. The silver-haired woman clenched her fists and said bluntly, I'm leaving the guild. The man across from her, Jude, the guild master of the Golden Shield, was startled. Ben, no team leader Kim, what are you saying? Are you quitting right now? What about everything you've built up until now? She crossed her arms and sighed. I know, but I'm tired. He tried to hold on. Just this one time, bring back Blacksmith Hyun. Hearing the main character's name, she shot up, her eyes flashing with anger. That's the problem. You're going to pay 500,001 a year to a player? A stranger, he growled, trying to persuade her. The blacksmith. Hyun sold his first sword for 50,000,001. If we can recruit him, the guild will grow very quickly. She narrowed her eyes, recalling old wounds. The last blacksmith you invited just took the job and outsourced it. Right, and the one after that ran off with the deposit. Then a lottery winner disappeared. And the most recent one. Hearing that, he cut her off, flustered. I know, don't bring it up. She rubbed her forehead, her voice softening. So you understand how hard I worked to clean up that mess, right? So don't stop me. He fell silent, then nodded. If that's your decision, then fine. She turned and walked away, leaving behind a sentence as light as the wind. Don't worry, I won't be in a hurry to join another guild. But the guildmaster still called out from behind her. Even so, if you want to come back, there will always be a place for you here. The dark sky loomed over Castle. She walked through the gates, looking at the devastated village. People pushed carts loaded with their belongings. She sighed, Oh, Lord. This village can't just disappear this quickly. This place has shown me that they're not just NPCs, but real people like me. If I can repair the Ramos bell, maybe everything will stop. I have to go back and check on the bell right away. At this moment, she was looking at the main character, her icy gaze fixed on him. She whispered close to his face, You're a fraud, aren't you? He flinched, taking a half step back and frowning. Who are you to say that? She lifted her chin and answered curtly. A blacksmith 1 rank higher than you. The captain standing in the middle waved his hands. Don't argue. This is Ben, the high-level blacksmith I was telling you about. And this is Hyun-soo, the one who helped clear out the ghouls. Now he says he's going to fix the bell. He's trustworthy, right? Ha-ha! Ben squinted at the main character and thought to himself. A level 38 who defeated ghouls, and he's going to fix that thing too. Then she crossed her arms and added, I don't know what tricks he's pulling, but that bell cannot be repaired. Don't think you can take advantage of the castle territories. I decline to profit. Hey, you! The main character ignored her, looking at the fragments and replying, What were you saying earlier? Seeing this, she thought to herself. Is this guy ignoring me? But is there any other way? She leaned closer to the pile of fragments. A notification window lit up. Rames's bell containing holy power has been destroyed. Completely irreparable. She nodded slightly. Just as I thought. It can't be repaired anymore. At that moment, the main character's hammer came down. The bell fragments shattered into even smaller pieces. Ben screamed, Hey, what the hell are you doing? Stop it! But the main character didn't stop speaking each word clearly. It can be repaired? She froze. What did you just say? The main character looked up, raising his hammer and speaking slowly. Restoration, I said I could do it. Ben snapped, his face flushed. Don't you understand what irreparable magic item means? At the same time, the sound of footsteps pounded from outside. A soldier shouted from the hallway. Captain, the undead are pouring in right now. Everyone turned toward the door. Castle territory update has begun. After the update, a new land will be established. The countdown clock ticked. Ben looked at the flaming system notification and whispered, Is the castle territory turning into the land of the undead? Is this the end? The main character shook his head. No, if we recreate the bell, we can stop it. She replied sadly. Repair the bell nonsense. But the main character answered firmly. It's possible. The main character looked straight at her, his voice low. Don't you want to protect this place? Ben froze, her shoulders trembling slightly, her eyes flickering. She bit her lip, then nodded slightly. You're right. But how? The main character replied, Follow me. The bell fragments glowed and entered his inventory one by one. The system announced. Fragments of Rames's bell have been added to your inventory. The main character clenched his fist and said, Let's protect this place. The captain turned to the main character and said, Yes, Hyun-soo, I'll leave the bell repair to you. I will hold them off for as long as I can. The main character nodded and replied, Yes, leave it to me. He drew his sword and ran to the front lines. He shouted amidst the sounds of battle, Don't lose hope, fight to the last minute. Hold on a little longer. We must protect castle. Sunset cast a glow over the house. He and Ben stood before a table full of tools looking at each other, ready to get to work. Ben looked at the main character and asked shortly, So what are you going to do? The main character replied, his eyes glancing over the fragments. When I tried hitting it earlier, its holy power didn't disappear. That means it's within the material itself. I'm going to melt it all down and forge a new bell. When it's finished, the holy power will be even stronger. Ben was surprised. I've never seen a skill like that. The main character smiled and said, It doesn't necessarily have to be a repair skill. Using 2 hands or several hands is the same. First, let's just melt the materials. The furnace roared to life. He tossed the scraps into the furnace. Ben watched, stunned, thinking to herself, You're going to do this by hand in this day and age? Suddenly, the main character's voice rang out. Hey, why don't you give me a hand? I can't handle this all by myself. Cut to the control center. Long Hair took a sip of coffee, his face pale. We're screwed. Castle territory update countdown 49 minutes 32 seconds. This update is about to finish downloading. A guy frowned. What nonsense are you talking about? Complaining about an update? Long Hair added. Look at that screen over there. He got closer and squinted. What are you looking at? The screen clearly showed the main character and Ben. He answered doubtfully, Because of that blacksmith? There's no way a single player can fix that thing. Don't joke around, the woman said coldly. Because he's not an ordinary player. She stared at the data in silence. Day N of the castle territory update. Outside the city walls, the sounds of steel clashing and soldiers shouting. Block the undead, don't let them get in. The captain swung his sword, cutting through the encirclement. The soldiers panted, sweat and dust mixing together. A figure leaped from the battle line and replied. He was hit by a monster. He was thrown back and then charged forward to finish him off. But just then the sound of a sharp slash rang out. The captain, with a bandaged eye, rushed forward, shouting, Are you all right? 6 men quickly got up, replying, Yes, Captain. The captain then added, Just a little longer. Try to hold on for just a little longer. Bodies were falling everywhere. The captain tightened his grip on his sword, roaring in the midst of the battlefield. This is the place we were born and raised our entire lives. We must protect Castle. Just then the captain's sword sparked. Seeing this, the man grimaced. At a time like this, crack. The sword shattered into pieces. At the same moment, the monster gathered its strength, lunged forward, and swung its sword. The man gritted his teeth, thinking, damn it, if it ends like this? Suddenly, a sound like a tolling bell echoed, reverberating through the air. He froze and turned his head. That sound is... The monster shrieked in pain and dropped its weapon. Immediately after, the deep toll of the bell resounded. Flames erupted from the undead. The ghouls screamed, writhing and burning to ashes in a sea of fire. The captain looked up towards the tower. The peal of the bell swept across the sky. He breathed a sigh of relief, joyfully exclaiming, "The Ramos bell has been repaired." In the monitoring room, a technician was so startled he spat out his drink and stammered, "No way, is this for real?" On the screen showed the protagonist holding a hammer, swinging it powerfully against the bell, causing it to ring out and echo everywhere. An astonished voice rang out. "He actually did it!" "What is this?" was the update a failure. A long-haired man held his forehead and reported, "That user hasn't slept since the update counter started." The man's eyes widened as he yelled, "For a whole week! 5 days ago." The protagonist immediately went to the forge in the castle domain and mobilized the villagers to begin repairing the Ramos bell. "I told everyone, we need to melt down the completed bell to get the base materials. To be precise, to cast the mold of divine power." While the protagonist was drawing the blueprint, he tasked Bayo with managing the war supplies and overseeing the craftsmen. A system panel flashed, beginning custom forging divine might. The protagonist said confidently, "With the skill to maximize suppression power against undead and demons, we can add a damage-dealing effect." The furnace fire blazed high. He shouted, "More heat!" The will to protect the castle domain was infused into the molten metal. Everyone poured in ore, stirring constantly to prevent impurities. A voice of reminder echoed, "Focus. We're doing our best to protect the domain." The divine power grew more concentrated, seeping into the mold. Then the next day they hammered and adjusted the mold all night. The day after that, some craftsmen collapsed right by the forge. 2 days before the official update, Ben, with dark circles under her eyes, dozed off by the furnace. The final day before the update. The sound of hammering was relentless. She was suddenly startled awake, murmuring, when did I fall asleep?" Ben rubbed her eyes and groggily sat up in the middle of the forge yard. The resounding clang of a hammer made her whip her head around. In the middle of the yard, the newly cast large bell, shining and still vibrating, rang. She was stunned, thinking, "He's been working on the bell for days without a break." The protagonist stood hammer in hand, carving the bell, drenched in sweat. A notification window appeared. The title Apprentice is glowing. "You have witnessed the forging process of a divine master. Advanced forging proficiency increased by 2.2%. She gasped, "A master? That person?" The protagonist glanced over and said calmly, "You sure sleep soundly for someone in such a noisy place." She blushed and said loudly, "I didn't sleep that much." Then he looked at her and replied, "Only the finishing touches are left. You can just stay here." She quickly interrupted, I want to ask something." "You're the blacksmith Hyun, right?" The protagonist paused for a moment, then gave a slight smile and a nod. "Yeah." A golden light flared up. A ring of energy swirled around the body of the bell as he placed his hand on the carved patterns. She looked up at the newly completed bell and whispered, "Whoa." Then she laughed at herself and said, "Whoa doesn't even cover it. It's truly beautiful." A system panel appeared next to the bell. Hyun's second custom forged item, unique. Durability infinite. Special skills. Purge undead, blessing anti-undead. Recreation of an item once considered unsalvageable. She turned to the protagonist and asked, "Recreated? Is that why it's so next level?" Then she thought to herself, "I've never seen anyone do something like this." She stopped in front of him, flustered, and called out softly, "Hyun-soo." Suddenly she grabbed the protagonist's hand and pulled him close. "Please stay with me from now on." His eyes widened. "Oh my God, I'm quitting my job as a reviewer to learn blacksmithing, everyone. I'm gonna try to forge a bell and see if any girls do this for me." The protagonist was dumbfounded and blurted out, "Is this a confession?" She blushed and shouted, "This is just a misunderstanding." Cut to the present. The protagonist raised his hammer and brought it down. The peal of the bell exploded, spreading across the sky. Outside the city walls, the monsters shrieked as the sound of the bell washed over them. The monsters collapsed in a sea of fire, screeching. The warriors stood stunned, panting. A system panel appeared. A new bell has been forged, wiping out the undead. Next, you can stop the update and create a new story. By the tower, the protagonist cheered, "We did it!" He let out a sigh of relief. "Glad I wasn't too late." But suddenly his body swayed and a warning popped up. "Accumulated fatigue, you will enter an abnormal state." Just then the protagonist collapsed at the foot of the bell. She came over worriedly, shouting, Hyun-soo, are you okay?" A notification appeared. Quest repair the Ramos bell complete. The reward will be changed. A digital screen descended and messages popped up. Hey, does anyone know about the Blacksmith Hyun right now? Another anonymous user replied, what's this, you nerd? The reason Ares Castle domain update failed. A before and after picture of the bell tower appeared. Another person realized, oh, I know him. Didn't he make Hyun's first custom-forged sword? Another person exclaimed, oh, so that Hyun is this Hyun. The anonymous user commented again, what the hell, he managed to fix the Ramos bell. A flood of notifications poured in. Now following Hyun's blacksmith shop. Early morning light streamed through the window. The protagonist woke up, clutching his forehead, frowning at the incessant dinging sound. A notification panel popped up. Hyun's blacksmith shop. 1,655 followers. He shot up in bed. 101,655 followers. How is that possible? This is nuts. He suddenly thought, I'm so glad I carved the name Hyun on the bell. From now on, anyone who visits the castle domain, will see that bell. At the same time, there was a knock on the door, followed by a voice. Hyun-soo, may I come in? The protagonist replied, yes, come in. The captain, wrapped in bandages, entered and cheered loudly. The savior of the domain is awake. 30,000 gold. A heavy pouch of money was set down. A system panel appeared. You have received 30,000 gold. The protagonist's eyes lit up. With this money, I can contact them. And next Render entered carrying a wooden chest. And this is a reward befitting a savior. The Lord instructed me to give this item to you. The chest lid opened and a brilliant light poured out. The protagonist was stunned. A notification appeared. You have received the legendary mineral orichalcum. The protagonist bowed his head. Thank you. The captain smiled and shook his head. We should be the ones thanking you. Unlike the other outsiders, you didn't give up and even protected our domain. We are truly grateful. But in his heart, the protagonist could feel their genuine sincerity. Then he said, I just did what needed to be done. And the protagonist thought to himself, it's also because the desperation of the people in Ares is no different from that of real people. All right, he continued. For now, I'm going back to where I lived before. The captain smiled and replied, all right, as you wish. The protagonist logged out of the game thinking, time to go back. I have to go back and reclaim the blacksmith shop. A notification appeared. Hyun-soo has logged out. The captain said in awe, this person is truly a mystery. The next day in Gyeonggi-do, a man looked at his phone. His account had just received 330 million won. The man looked up and said, you actually did it. The man standing opposite him broke into a radiant smile. This person is real estate investor Kang Hyuk-soo. He looked at the protagonist and praised amazing Hyun-soo. 1 year ago, in a transaction room, Hyun-soo sat opposite Kang Hyuk-soo. The other man flipped through a file and said slowly, a total of 330 million won. They said it was a big fire. Hyun-soo nodded slightly. That's right, the man continued. Anyway, with this money, you'll be able to cover the hospital bills. Hang in there. Kang Hyuk-soo stood up. I'm busy, so I have to go first. Hyun-soo suddenly spoke up. Can I buy back the forge? The man paused. What did you say? Hyun-soo clenched his fists. If I can get the money, will you sell the forge back to me? Kang Hyuk-soo sighed. Buying back a place that's almost destroyed will cost you more. If you need a forge, it's better to buy a new building. Hyun-soo shook his head. It has to be our forge. It holds too many of my memories with my father. But Kang Hyuk-soo was lost in thought, calculating to himself. With a property of this size, even at the fastest, the time to transfer ownership will be... Then he said aloud, 1 year, I'll give you exactly that much time. But remember, after 1 year, I will dispose of this property. Hyun-soo bowed his head, thanking him profusely. The man left, then added, I hope you'll be the first person to contact me. Back to the present, a bank message appeared on the screen. Kang Hyuk-soo has received 30 million won. The protagonist smiled. Seeing this, Kang Hyuk-soo replied, you really did it. That's respectable, Hyun-soo. Even though I was the one who made the request, I know it was quite unreasonable. 1 year was already tight. For a real estate agent like me, that's more than enough time to sell. And yet I kept my promise because I believed in you. Hyun-soo asked softly, why were you so good to me? The man chuckled. Well, you were the first person to say they wanted to buy back something they'd sold. I just wanted to encourage someone like that. Hyun-soo was on the verge of tears. Thank you. The man shook his head. Don't thank me. I'm grateful that you kept your promise. Then the protagonist thought to himself, thanks to him I didn't have to give up the forge. Hyun-soo hesitated slightly, then asked, do you know the game Ares? The man laughed. Of course. Who doesn't know it these days? Hyun-soo scratched his head. Actually, I'm active as a blacksmith in Ares. I want to forge you an artifact as a gift. The man's eyes lit up as he said, then can you make me a custom piece? No limits on effect system or level. Hyun-soo smiled confidently, clenching his fist. Of course. I'll make you anything you want. Cut to the protagonist inside the game. In a bustling tavern, Hyun-soo walked in. Ben waved and called out, Hyun-soo over here. This is the first time we've met since the undead wipeout. Huh. The protagonist nodded in confirmation. Yeah, I think so. She teased further, you're hard to get a hold of, acting all bougie. Her words made the protagonist feel awkward. Sorry. She laughed it off and replied, I'm just kidding. Then she introduced herself seriously. I am the head of strategy for the Golden Shield Guild, the person who brought the guild to its current standing. She looked at him, remembering the moment the protagonist rang the bell and said, I knew it that day, Hyun-soo. You would become a top-tier ranker. So let me be direct. If you ever start a guild, I want to be the first member. Hyun-soo paused, his eyes wide at the offer. Then he added, Didn't you call me a fraud the first time we met? She blushed, beet red, and replied awkwardly, I'm sorry. Anyone would have misunderstood in that situation. Anyway, that's not what's important right now. He waved his hand and said with a laugh, I'm just kidding. The two of them shook hands. The protagonist replied to her, I look forward to working with you, Lady Bayo. But before we discuss business, there's one more thing. A moment later, she jumped. What, you're going to meet Barad? The Sword King Barad is one of the 10 mythical legends. The protagonist chewed his food and replied, That's right. I'm participating in the Godra martial arts tournament. And I heard the Sword King himself. Barad will personally present the award to the champion. She held her head and said, That's right, but that tournament is full of elite rookies. It's not simple at all. The protagonist just shrugged. Then I just need to win. Hearing this, she got annoyed and slammed the table, scolding. Hey, you're taking this way too lightly. How can you even swallow another bite? The protagonist smiled gently. Don't worry. I'll aim for victory with what I do best. Hearing this, she paused, slightly surprised. Hyun-soo tilted his head and asked softly, By the way, aren't you going to eat anything? Bayo replied curtly, I'm fine. Cut to the day of the Godra martial arts tournament. The stands were packed in the sun-drenched city. A knight riding a red dragon descended into the middle of the arena. He raised his hand in greeting. Welcome, outsiders, to the Godra martial arts tournament. The tournament will begin as soon as I leave the arena. You will face the monsters that are about to appear. You may not know this, but His Majesty is watching, so maintain your decorum. Good luck. A loud tumultuous roar filled the sky as he and his dragon soared upwards. The system announced the Godra martial arts tournament has begun. An iron-gated cage rumbled open. The cheers erupted. The ground trembled. Something fell with a thud, making everyone gasp. The crowd had just looked up to see a giant stone mass revealed amidst the dust and sand. The system displayed, Survive the Golem Horde, time limit 1 hour countdown. Shouts of excitement arose. Someone roared, All right, bring it on, you rockheads. We knew it would be golems, let's fight. The announcer continued. The first challenge of the tournament. Defeat the stone golem to receive a reward. Stone golem, level 109. Some people hesitated. A stone golem. Is the level really that high? Another reassured, Don't be scared. They said the first round is easy. Whoever strikes first gets the advantage. Before he could finish, a crushing sweep came down. A red light flashed. The notification was cold. HP has reached 0, forcing player to log out. Panicked cries broke out across the arena. Hey, I thought you said it was easy. The rest of the crowd turned and fled in disarray. While 7 golems continued to advance, growling, a golem swung its arm, crushing a shield and eliminating another player. The terrified survivors cried out. The information we got was completely different. And if that's the case, how are we supposed to win? Amidst the screams, Hyun-soo stood calmly in the crowd above. A red dragon circled the palace. Cut to inside the palace. Biko ran panting through the dangerous corridor, thinking, The tournament is taking a negative turn. A golem leveled for a higher-tier tournament has been released. There's no time left. If this continues, all the outsiders will be wiped out. He ran towards a door, shouting, Move aside! I need to see His Majesty immediately. 2 guards saw him and exclaimed, Lord Biko. But without His Majesty's permission, he ignored them and roared, Your Majesty, we must stop the match right now. A deep, warm voice resounded. We will not allow it, Biko stammered. But my lord! Before he could say more, have you not realized yet? Look closely. Look at that blacksmith in there. Down in the arena, the protagonist drew his bowstring, his muscles tensing. He gathered his breath in the moment before releasing the string. The arrow left the bow, its trajectory spiraling into a streak of light, flying straight towards the stone golem. But it only grazed past, then returned to the protagonist's hand. He flipped his wrist, activating a secret technique of his own creation. Third custom creation recall. Returns to the user. Followed by the orichalcum short arrow. The crowd in the distance stared wide-eyed. Did that arrow just come back? What kind of arrow is like a boomerang? The protagonist calmly caught the returning arrow and knocked it again. A thought crossed his mind. This is the reward I received last time, from the cousin domain. The metal of the arrowhead gleamed with a cold light. Orichalcum, a thing that exists only in legend. He drew the string again. The performance is just as expected. The arrow shot forward, piercing straight into the stone golem's chest. A halo of light exploded. But the arrow, unexpectedly its trajectory recalled sweeping close to the arena floor. It grazed past a player. A shout rang out. "Hey, you trying to PK me?" The protagonist was startled and replied, "Ah, sorry." At the same time, the golem let out a long roar. A system notification appeared. Stone golem stunned for 4 seconds. Status: unable to move for the period of time, due to physical shock. Cheers erupted. The stone golem is stunned. This is our chance. Attack! The hunters unleashed their skills. One charged down like a flame. Shining slashes swept across the monster's body. A series of explosions slammed into the golem's body. It roared in pain, then stomped hard on the floor, causing it to crack. The golem groaned loudly. Its red eyes were still flickering as if about to rise again. Then its stone hand swept out in a wide arc. Someone cheered. Just a little more and it's done, run. The golem's giant arm raised, preparing to smash down. Hot wind whistled past his ears. It threw a punch straight at the protagonist. Boom! The sound echoed, sending dust flying everywhere. The players one by one yelled, "Damn it!" in the dust cloud. The protagonist's voice rang out. "Switching weapon!" Metal clashed against the stone arm. He gasped, "It's not over yet." He tightened his grip on the sword hilt. Then it pulled back its hand and threw another punch. He raised his gleaming sword blade. The moment of impact flashed brightly. A cracking sound echoed right in front of him. The protagonist was thrown high into the air, and his sword shattered into pieces. In the observation room, the man urgently pleaded, "Your Majesty, we should stop the tournament. That player is nearing his limit." Barad let out a soft breath and said nothing. But a halo of light flashed on the orb, startling him. He stared down at the arena. In the center of the golem's chest, a ring of light glowed. Metal gathered into the shape of a blade. Divine emergency crafting is complete. The protagonist, panting, tightened his grip on the newly appeared weapon. Damascus crescent glaive capable of cutting through stone. The metal light drew a clean line through the layer of stone. The stone slabs cracked and then shattered with a roar. The golem's body staggered. A notification appeared. You have defeated the stone golem. Afterward, the protagonist watched the phantom blade of the glaive slowly fade from his hand. Divine emergency crafting. The Damascus crescent glaive has disappeared. 3 system notifications rained down relentlessly. You have leveled up. The protagonist looked up and sighed in relief. Whoa, my level went up by 14. In the distance, someone mumbled in shock, "Unbelievable. Did he really defeat it?" The protagonist continued, Didn't everyone work together to defeat it? Hearing this, a player with a wizard-like interface yelled, "How are we supposed to defeat something with that much of a level gap?" The main goal was to survive. The trial originally had 3 stages from the beginning, but you broke it. They didn't put that thing out there for us to defeat. The protagonist nodded slightly. Oh, I see. He looked around. Anyway, just as he was about to speak, dizziness hit him. His ears rang, his body staggered, and then he fell. His vision spun. Several voices could be heard chattering amidst the commotion. Did he faint? There's no sign of a logout. Are they just going to leave him there? Is the tournament still going on? More importantly, how many weapons did that guy use? I thought he was versatile, but he's a damn weapons master. Insane. I'd be happy just to get one of those items. At that moment, Beko shouted, "Attention all contestants!" Due to an error by the organizers, today's tournament will conclude here. The order to disperse echoed across the arena. Everything faded to blur. The protagonist lay there. The screen showed a live comment stream title. The feed was scrolling rapidly. What the hell just happened? Unbelievable, he actually beat it. Did anyone record that? An arrow lay on the ground with Hyun clearly engraved on it. The audience was stunned. That name, he's the one who created the unrepairable item in the Carson domain. Before, messages flooded in. This is crazy. That guy is a blacksmith. No way a blacksmith can be that strong. Those items were insane. In the customer service room, the sound of keyboards clattered incessantly. A player complained. Why was the Godra tournament stopped? An agent on duty wearing a headset forced a smile. I'm sorry. That falls under the internal decisions of the Godra kingdom. We cannot answer that. Then the person on the other end of the line asked again, then what's with the level 100 plus golem that appeared out of nowhere? Were you trying to get us killed? The agent replied, I'm sorry, customer. The repetitive, helpless answers, accompanied by a single tear. Outside, many were still skeptical, but the audience sitting in front of their screens could only watch on in amazement. Cut to another location. A woman with glasses smiled faintly, her eyes lighting up with curiosity and excitement. Whoa. Captain, something big happened, the long-haired man grumbled. What now? I'm busy. She turned and said, the Godra tournament was cancelled. Hearing this, the long-haired man said, I know that already, whatever. But she continued, that's not it. Barad just summoned the user Hyun-soo. The long-haired man spat out all the coffee in his mouth and shot up from his seat. What just cleaning up the tournament took forever. And they're having a meeting right now. She added, Hyun-soo is on his way to the palace for an audience. The long-haired man held his head. We're screwed. Another all-nighter. She whispered, I just want to go home. The long-haired man said helplessly, me too, that user is beyond common sense. I can't predict anything. The woman with glasses added, true, and if Hyun-soo completes Barad's request and reaches maximum affinity, then what? The long-haired man replied, he'll become the strongest blacksmith, and at the same time master the Sword King's swordsmanship. Of course it won't be easy. It depends on Barad's decision. She added, but suddenly feeling worried about this is unnecessary, right? The long-haired man said irritably, don't jinx it. Cut to the next day. He entered the palace, thinking, I'm meeting Barad sooner than I expected. A voice echoed down from the throne, Traveler, hear me! By tradition, I would bestow your reward before all, but due to yesterday's incident, I hope you understand the simplified procedure. Your achievement as a master of weapons, all have witnessed. Let us honor this warrior. The reward is 13,000 gold. He knelt down. Thank you, Your Majesty. But, Your Majesty, I heard you were looking for me. The red eyes paused for a moment. A guard shouted, Insolence! No matter how rare you may be, you cannot speak with such arrogance, such audacity. His Majesty has not finished speaking. There's no way His Majesty would be looking for you. He raised his head calmly. I am Hyun the blacksmith. The guard asked for the king's command. Please forgive us, we will remove him at once. He raised his hand. It is fine. He is the guest I have been waiting for. The protagonist placed his hand on his chest and bowed. I present myself to Your Majesty. I am Hyun the blacksmith. His Majesty looked down, a slight smile on his lips. You took your time. To reintroduce, this is the 10th Sword King of Ares Barad. He looked up and replied, the journey here was quite difficult. Barad added, so, do you know why I have summoned you here? The protagonist answered quickly, yes, Your Majesty. You have summoned me to commission the forging of a sword, correct? His red and gold eyes flashed. That is correct. Moreover, the item I wish to commission is something that even the best blacksmith in this kingdom has not been able to make. Even the best blacksmith in the kingdom was powerless, and even the master of the sword tower failed. He closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them, his voice deep. But the red aura around him flared. His gaze was as heavy as killing intent pressing down on him. I want to know why I should trust you. The pressure crashed down like a wall of heat. He gritted his teeth, a soft sound escaping. Just one thing, he said slowly, each word clear. I came all this way because I believe in my own skill. The corner of his mouth twitched, then he burst into a loud laugh. His laughter echoed throughout the hall. A bold outsider good bring what has been prepared. The steward, startled, replied, yes, Your Majesty. A moment later, he hurried to the center of the red carpet, carrying a box over to him. Barat looked at the main character and said softly, I will bet on your confidence. The chest burst open. Inside, a blue light emanated from a cold blue piece of metal. A notification appeared. 100-year cold iron. A special mineral that has remained cold for 100 years. Possesses fire resistance and the ice attribute. Seeing it, the main character whispered, even minerals you'd only see in fantasy stories are showing up. He stated his request clearly. I want a sword of epic grade or higher that radiates a cold aura. If you satisfy me, I will grant you anything you desire. The main character stood before the glowing chest. His eyes narrowed as he gave a slight nod. Barat's golden eyes were stern. Conversely, if you disappoint me, you will never set foot in the kingdom of Gozat. Again? The system window lit up before him. S-rank quest. The King's Commission. Reward. One request that Barat will grant. Failure banishment from Gozat. Description. The Sword King Barat has commissioned the forging of a sword. He smirked, thinking to himself, this is a chance to demand anything from Barat. Then he stood straight and placed a hand on his chest. I absolutely will not disappoint you. I'll do it no matter what, he then vowed to himself. I will not fail. Beads of sweat formed, but his voice was steady. Sunlight slanted through the wooden frame as the main character entered the workshop. As he was laying out his tools, he realized a pair of eyes was fixed on him. Besides Hyun-soo, a female knight stood with her arms crossed, leaning against the wall, observing in silence. A text box appeared. Kingdom of Gozat, Vice Commander of the Knights Bella, Level 301. He breathed softly, thinking, even though I'm an outsider, Sending someone to watch me so openly is a bit— Then he brushed the thought aside. No, it makes sense. It would be strange if His Majesty trusted me too easily. Bella spoke softly. Are we that obvious? Just pretend I'm not here. Focus on your work. He scratched his cheek and smiled. Sure, whatever you say. Bella's gaze hardened as she thought. His Majesty has given him a chance. Don't you dare fail. She closed her eyes and frowned from the heavy weight of responsibility. What a burden. He took a deep breath, telling himself, just pretend Bella isn't there. Just then a blue notification window popped up. The doorbell is ringing. He paused. Huh. Then he turned to Bella. Hey, something seems to be happening in my real world. Can I check on it for a moment? She just kept her arms crossed and gave a very slight silent nod. The screen went dark. In his small real-world room, a persistent ringing echoed. He shot up from his chair and shuffled to the door. Coming. The door opened. His landlady cried out in surprise. Oh, Hyun-soo, you're home! He bowed his head. Hello, ma'am. He was briefly stunned. Huh. The landlady? He asked quietly. Is something wrong? The landlady looked uneasy. I've decided to sell this apartment. My husband had to stop working recently, so I'd appreciate it if you could clear out the room. I'm so sorry. He looked around his place, then smiled. Please don't be sorry. I'm the one who should apologize. You let me rent for less than the market price, and I was still late with the rent several times. So when do I need to be out by? She replied. Within 2 weeks, please. She apologized again. He bowed his head. Please don't say that. I really had a good life here. The door closed. He let out a breath. 2 weeks, huh? He did a quick mental calculation. Buying back the forge that nearly burned down cost me 30 million won. Although I've earned a decent amount in Aries. Thousands had to go to my dad's hospital bills, and I still haven't even started treatment for my own burns. Where am I supposed to live now? Just then his phone vibrated. The screen showed this name Kim Heen, in-game name Nen. The previous English version used the name Bao, but now it's changed to Nen, so I'll change it too. He mumbled, it's Nen, and answered, hello. Her voice came through, Hyun-soo, what are you up to? I had a good idea for the current quest, so I called you. The main character said into the phone, I heard a rumor you lost your memory. Are you okay? Hearing this, Nen replied, I'm perfectly fine. Yes, he then added, I have a proposal I'd like to discuss with you. I have something that might help you remember everything. Immediately she frowned, her voice annoyed. Hyun-soo? The main character asked innocently, what's with your tone, yes? Nen shouted through the phone, making him freeze. I am looking forward to this quest. Through this quest, I'm expecting 2 major effects. The main character asked, 2 effects, Nen explained. Right now, people are debating whether the Gozat tournament champion and the Blacksmith Hyun are the same person. If you're not in a hurry to reveal your identity, keep it a secret and make a big reveal when you form a guild. The main character paused. She continued. And another thing, the NPC, Hyun-soo, is one of the most influential figures in Aries. You were just commissioned by Barrett to forge a sword. Imagine when Barrett's new sword is unveiled, with your maker's mark engraved on it. Now is the time to increase your value. I believe in you and I'll be with you. The main character clenched his fist, his voice low. Thanks, Nen. Thanks to you, my head is clear. I'll do my best. She added, that's the spirit. A moment later, the main character logged back into the game. The moment he appeared, Bella grabbed his arm and pulled. Wait, why are you just now coming back? The main character turned his head and asked, did something happen? What is it? Bella spoke quickly. His Majesty has been isolated in the fire dragon's lair. The main character gulped, sweat beading on his temple. What do you mean, isolated? Did something happen to His Majesty? Bella frowned. The main character said cheerfully, it sounded serious, so that was just a reflex. She clenched her fist, her voice low but firm. There's no time. I'll be quick. The fire dragon's nest is the collective name for the territory of fire-type monsters. Within it is the Ifrit dungeon, from which no one has ever returned alive except His Majesty Bharat. The main character frowned. Then why would he go back to a place he's already been, without even receiving the weapon I was commissioned to make? Bella lowered her voice. Because His Majesty's target of revenge is in there. He repeated in surprise, target of revenge. The scene shifts to the fire dragon's nest. A sea of lava erupted. Bharat gripped his sword tightly, charging through a wall of fire, gritting his teeth. I'm almost there. Bharat leaned against a boulder right in front of a door. Panting heavily, I just have to get through that door. But this time, this sword won't be able to do it. He rubbed his forehead, looking at the glowing red entrance, and thought to himself, at least the retainers with me retreated safely. Even if they call for reinforcements, it will take at least 3 days for them to arrive. The sword I hadn't yet received from that traveler, I should have waited for him to finish forging it. If my son Ban was still alive. Bharat's eyes closed slightly, a name escaping his lips, Hyun-soo. An image of Ban appeared in his memory. He's about the same age as that traveler. A bright smile, then a scene of blood-soaked armor, lips trembling as he called out, "Father?" A growl caught in Barrett's throat. Why did you come here without a word?" Bharat knelt, catching his dying son. Ban whispered, his eyes losing focus. "I thought, if I could conquer this dungeon, I would be a son you could be proud of. But I wasn't strong enough. I'm sorry." Bharat shook his head, holding his son's shoulders tightly. "Don't apologize to me, I just need you to live." Ban trembled, speaking softly. "I'm truly sorry, Father." Before he could finish, his hand went limp. Bharat held him, calling out desperately, "Ban, wake up, Ban, Ban!" Darkness fell. Specks of light faded like a final breath. In the present, Bharat gritted his teeth. "I should have waited until that traveler brought the sword." In the sunset-drenched forge, Bella stood opposite the main character. She spoke in a low voice, her eyes filled with worry. "Ever since the prince died, His Majesty has done everything to capture Ifrit, but it refuses to appear on its own. This might be His Majesty's last chance. Honestly, it's hard for me to trust a stranger like you, but there must be a reason. His Majesty entrusted this to you." She bowed low before him, her pleading voice trembling slightly. "As a citizen of the Kingdom of Gozat, and as a knight, I beg of you, please save His Majesty." Before his eyes, a quest window lit up. Urgent quest, a sword to save the king, S rank. Condition, accept Bella's plea. Reward, increased trust from Bella. Failure, the death of Barrett. Description, the Sword King Barrett is trapped in Ifrit's tomb. Forge a sword capable of rescuing him. He thought, "I never knew Barrett was in such a state. That day I almost lost everything myself, because of that damn fire. If I had lost my family like Barrett, could I still go on living like I am now?" His hand clenched into a fist. The light from the forge reflected on his calm but determined face. He looked up and replied simply, "I'll do my best." The hammer swung high, cutting through the air. The first strike landed on the anvil. The forging of the king-saving sword began. The red-hot steel billet sparked on the anvil. With a flurry of strikes, he drew out the body of the blade. The steel flared brightly, then was plunged into the water trough. Steam billowed up. He looked up at the still smoking blade and thought, "The heat of Ifrit can even melt unique-grade weapons, so I have to create a blade that surpasses that grade. Focus on the non-melting effect, using the ice attribute as its core." A stream of blue light erupted in his hands. Understanding of 100-year cold iron has deepened. A chill spread through the workshop. Blacksmith's soul has awakened. The hammer fell again. Icy crystals shattered. The blade absorbed the cold aura and continued to be tempered. 4 plumes of icy mist swirled through the forge as a blue light covered the ground. A notification box appeared. "You are in a state of complete immersion while creating this sword." Sweat beaded on his forehead as another line appeared. "Passion, determination, and empathy have put you into a state of self-transcendence." He continued to swing the hammer. The steel blade was now filled with a frosty light. An aura billowed around the sword's body. The notification flickered. "Hyun's first legendary grade sword is being forged." A burst of light exploded. The sound of metal rang through the workshop roof. Bella, startled, rushed forward, her eyes wide. "Is it done?" The main character, his back turned, raised the sword, which radiated an icy blue light like a reverse current. His gaze was calm and determined. "Let's go, to save His Majesty Bharat." The scene changes to him. A blast of flame exploded in front of him. The heat slammed into the cliff face. He roared in pain, his body stumbling amidst the fire and smoke. He collapsed to the ground, eyes bloodshot, gritting his teeth. "Let's end this today, Ifrit." From the depths of the lair, firelight gathered into a colossal spear-wielding figure. A hissing laugh. A notification window appeared. Fire Dragon Lair Boss Ifrit, level 409. The ground trembled. He shot forward, his cyan blade flashing as he slashed horizontally. He growled, "You have no idea how long I've waited for this day." His aura exploded. The sword's light enveloped his body. A lightning-fast downward strike aimed straight for Ifrit. Ifrit roared from the wound, but its body, seemingly endless, healed instantly. It turned its head to look at Bharat and swung its fiery staff. A wave of heat swept across, melting the stone floor. A deafening echo. Bharat leaped to dodge the attack. But the flames seemed to have a life of their own, chasing after and engulfing the sword Bharat was holding. He let go of the sword, thinking, "The sword is ruined." Ifrit stood tall, a hissing smile on its face. Its hands drew fire, gathering it at its chest. A series of explosions. Debris shot everywhere. Ifrit shrieked as flames erupted, covering the cave ceiling. Today, Bharat, surrounded by a torrent of fire, blurted out, "Damn it!" He gritted his teeth, his body searing with heat. Ifrit cackled, fire gathering around its hands. He dropped to one knee, panting, and muttered, "Damn it, am I going to fail in the end?" Ifrit raised its staff high, throwing a pillar of fire. A circle of flame opened up like a small sun. A beam of light from the center of the circle stretched into a column, crashing down, a deafening roar. He looked up, his pupils contracting as he felt the killing blow descend. The pillar of fire crashed down. The ground shook violently. Then a streak of cold light swept across. Crystallized ice bloomed like a flower, swallowing the fiery halo whole. Bharat, startled, looked at the icy sword embedded in the ground. He turned his head to see. The main character and Bella charged forward, both out of breath. She yelled, "Your Majesty, use that sword." He gripped the sword's hilt and stood up. The system panel appeared. Hyun's custom-made sword for Bharat, legendary grade. Fire resistance plus 143%. Ice attack power plus 18%. Damage to fire-type monsters plus 37%. Active skill Ice Blossom. The main character smiled, his eyes shining amidst the smoke and fire. "Please, Your Majesty, take it." Both hands tightened on the hilt. A torrent of icy energy coiled up. Around the blade like a freshly unleashed blizzard. Ice like sharp spikes. Was carried on the cold wind towards Ifrit. Seeing this, it let out a pathetic roar. Immediately, Bharat changed direction, circling to the right. Then his eyes filled with killing intent. The sword was raised and Bharat roared, "It's over!" He swung the sword horizontally across Ifrit's flank. A cracking sound echoed from where the sword made contact. A shriek of pain rang throughout the fiery dungeon. Bharat's gaze sharpened as he watched. Ifrit, and then he landed on the ground. At the same time, Ifrit collapsed, its body frozen solid, showing no signs of life. The main character and Bella, witnessing from the side, were frozen. That power. The sword was driven into the ground. Bharat, exhausted, collapsed. At that moment, a notification popped up. "You have defeated the dungeon boss." The Sword King Bharat, sweat streaming down his face, said, "Finally, it's all over." Suddenly, a cracking sound was heard. A flame that could incinerate anything erupted into a tall pillar. Seeing this, the main character asked urgently, "What's happening?" Bella replied quickly, "Some monsters self-destruct when they're about to die. His Majesty is still in the danger zone. Your Majesty, please get out of there now, it's dangerous." Her calls echoed, but he shouted back, "Stay right there, that's an order." He gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, and with his other hand he held a picture of his son. His voice choked with emotion, he said, "This is the end." Bella, worried, thought, "I have to save His Majesty. If I rush in now, even though His Majesty forbade it, what should I do?" The main character stood silently beside her, his eyes fixed on the core of the fire which was contracting before it exploded. Then he stepped into the raging flames. Bella looked at him and shouted, "Don't go in there!" The main character turned his head, his voice determined. "I'm going in to bring His Majesty back out." God's emergency crafting skill flashed. A layer of fire-resistant armor enveloped him. The intense heat swirled around him but couldn't touch him. He strode through the roaring curtain of fire. His eyes stopped when he saw him. His Majesty Bharat in the heart of the fire. Bharat's deep voice echoed, "Go back, traveler, you've done more than enough." He shook his head, standing opposite him in the blazing light. "I can't. I came in to escort you back, Your Majesty." But he still didn't move and said, "I'm not leaving." He looked him straight in the eye. "Because of the owner of that necklace?" Bharat froze, then nodded, his eyes red. "My son's death is my fault. What right do I have to continue living?" The main character clenched his fists, his words hardening in the fire. "The owner of the necklace. Would he be happy that you've chosen to give up like this?" He roared, "You know nothing. No one can understand this feeling. The pain of losing a child because of me." He lunged forward, yelling, "Who are you to speak of such things?" He clenched his fists, his voice low. "You're right. I'll never fully understand that pain. But I can say this." He looked up, his eyes reflecting the flames. "I also almost lost a loved one. My father is in a coma. Every day I pray for him to open his eyes. And right now, I'm just grateful that no matter what state he's in, my father is still alive. And I believe that your son would want the same for you. Choose peace for yourself and for him." Bharat froze. The image of his smiling son seemed to appear right before him. "Ban!" "I'm sorry." His broad shoulders trembled, his eyes welling up. "I'm sorry, Ban. This foolish father was wrong." The fire still roared around them, but where he stood, the burden gradually crumbled away like ashes scattered by the wind. The main character said softly, "You have to keep living, Your Majesty. Shouldn't you become a father that your son can be proud of?" His eyes softened and he nodded. "Right, I can't be a shameful father. Let's go." He gripped the sword's hilt tightly and smiled faintly. Together they helped each other out of the heart of the fire. At that moment, Bella ran over in a panic. "Outsider, is His Majesty safe?" The system flashed. "HP has reached 0, forced logout." The main character was logged out, but his voice was still reassuring. "I'll be back soon. Don't worry, no one really dies here." His form dissolved into a flash of light. Bharat watched him go and sighed. "Hyunsu, he saved me." As soon as he finished speaking, he collapsed into unconsciousness. A voice called out, "Please wake up, Your Majesty!" But a smile remained on his lips even in unconsciousness. Outside the capsule, the main character opened his eyes. A penalty screen appeared. Level decreased by 1 due to forced logout. He thought to himself, "I'll keep moving forward too, Dad." Wind swept over a grassy hill. Leaves and feathers swirled under a blue sky. The Sword King. Bharat stood on a slope, silently watching the distant figure of his son. A voice called out, trembling and heartfelt, "Father!" He started, his red hair catching the light, his eyes wide. Ban! Father and son ran towards each other. The distance closed. His heart pounded in his chest. Bharat panted, his voice choked with the mixture of joy and disbelief. "Is it really you, my son, Ban?" Ban smiled, his gaze warm and gentle. "Yes, father." His smile softened slightly. "I've come to say goodbye." Bharat froze, his red hair flying back in the wind. "Goodbye." The two of them stopped facing each other. The shadows seemed to tighten around them. The Sword King. Bharat took a half-step back, his trembling hand asking softly, "What do you mean?" Old memories suddenly flooded back. The words someone once said swept past his ear like the wind. "Hyunsu," just as he said. He bent down, clutching his hand tightly, as if afraid that if he let go, his son would dissolve into the sunlight. Ban stood tall, his hands clasped in front of his chest. The golden sun fell on his shoulders and the bridge of his nose. He looked at his father gently and resolutely. "I truly just want you to be happy, father." The wind blew again, leaves fluttering down, and Bharat's eyes filled with tears. "So please, from now on, live your own life, father." The wind howled over the hilltop. The young man's figure faded as if dissolving into a bright mist. Bam, 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 bam. The sky twisted into a long black streak. Only his calls swallowed by the wind remained. Ban. He shot up, breathing heavily. His eyes opened to the early morning light flooding the room. Servants rushed in, their footsteps echoing on the carpet. "Your Majesty is awake. You were unconscious for 3 days. Are you all right?" He rubbed his forehead, his heart still pounding as if he were in the dream. His voice was hoarse. "Ban came to say goodbye to me." He looked down at his hands, where the sunlight sprinkled golden dust between his fingers. It was all thanks to him. The thought sparked a decision as quick as the wind. "Hyunsu, I must see him at once." The scene changes to a moment later. The spacious room was open. Bharat sat silently. An attendant's voice announced, "Your Majesty, Hyunsu has arrived." The door opened and Hyunsu walked quickly into the room, dropping to one knee and bowing his head. "I pay my respects, Your Majesty Bharat." Bharat gave a slight nod and said, "All right, rise." Hyunsu pushed himself up, his eyes looking up inquisitively. "Are you well, sir?" Bharat leaned back in his chair, his voice low and gentle. "Come sit down. I summoned you because I have something to ask." As the two faced each other across the stone table, light filtered past the curtains in golden streaks. Bharat spoke slowly, each word as heavy as stone. "I know that outsiders are those who can return, even after death. But that doesn't make death any less fearsome. So why did you risk your life to save me?" Hyunsu placed a hand on his chest, his eyes calm and sincere. "For 2 reasons. Bharat tilted his head. 2 reasons. Hyunsu gave a faint smile. "First, because I wanted someone like you. Someone carrying too great a burden to live on. To keep living, Your Majesty." In the sun-drenched hall, Bharat's voice was low but warm. "A burden like yours? And the second reason?" Hyunsu sat opposite him and replied calmly, a slight smirk on his lips. "The second reason is, I truly believed you would reward me handsomely." Bharat paused for a beat, then let out a soft laugh. "Quite confident, aren't you?" His eyes narrowed with interest. "That's a bold declaration. You're right." He nodded, his voice casual, as if delivering a verdict. "I intended to give you a fitting reward. This is your payment for the sword you forged." A scroll landed neatly in Hyunsu's hand. It felt as heavy and solid as a confirmation. The notification window lit up. "You have received 1017,600 gold." Hyunsu's eyes widened, his heart skipping a beat. "Over 1,000,000 gold?" Bharat crossed his arms, his voice calm but firm. "You saved my life with that sword. Isn't this price a matter of course?" Hyunsu swallowed hard, managing only a short sound, his chest filled with the feeling of both elation and shock. Then Hyunsu bowed deeply, his voice resonant and respectful. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Bharat waved a hand gently and smiled. "Sit down first." Hyunsu replied softly, "Yes, sir," and pulled up his chair. As sunlight streamed through the curtains, Bharat spoke as if promising himself. "As you said, I will try to live my life to the fullest, so that when I meet Ban again in the heavens, I won't have to hang my head in shame. I hope you will do the same. Live strongly for your father. He will wake up one day, and come visit me sometimes." He tilted his head, his eyes filled with curiosity. "I want to hear the stories of your journey, and the people you will meet from now on." Hyunsu nodded. "Of course, Your Majesty, I'd like to hear your stories as well." He reached out his hand slowly and called out softly, "You have awakened me. May I call you my friend?" Hyun-soo froze, his eyes widening slightly as his heart pounded. A blue notification window appeared. Friendship with Barrett has reached maximum. The blessing of friendship has been bestowed upon you. Bharat smiled, offering a hand covered in a warm light. Hyun-soo stood up and took it. It felt like a steadfast promise. He thought to himself, I can't believe I've become friends with someone as renowned as Barrett. Hyun-soo shook his hand, his voice sincere. It is my honor to be your friend. He let go of his hand and stood tall, the sun on his white-shirted shoulders. To commemorate this friendship, I wish to pass my swordsmanship on to you. The air stood still. Hyun-soo was momentarily stunned. A silver-haired knight strode in quickly. Your Majesty, you wish to pass on your swordsmanship to another outsider? A note flashed by Benson, captain of the Knights of the Kingdom of Gozat. He continued, you recently chose Sir Rose as your heir. Isn't it? He who deserves to receive your swordsmanship, the heir, must be qualified to inherit the sword. Bharat raised a hand, his voice calm but firm. Of course. I have no intention of passing it on to just anyone, Benson. The system chimed. A quest window appeared in mid-air. Skill quest, Swordsmanship of the Sword King, S rank. Condition, accept Bharat's offer. Reward, Swordsmanship of the Sword King. Penalty for failure. Friendship with Barrett will decrease. Bharat's technique is not something just anyone can obtain. Defeat Captain Benson and hit him 3 times without making a mistake. Bharat looked straight at Hyun-soo. Captain Benson will test your qualifications. Let's see if you are worthy. Bharat gave him 2 days to prepare. Hyun-soo logged out and returned to his room in the real world. His palms still held the warmth of the sunlight in the great hall. The first thing he did was go to the hospital and pay all of his father's hospital bills. Next, he found a decent place for him and his father to live. He signed a lease with the building manager. He also brought a gift to thank the landlady who had let him. Be late on rent several times. Take care of yourself, Hyun-soo, she said with a smile. When everything was settled, he thought to himself, the only thing left is... Hyun-soo dialed Ji-hun's number. Hello, Ji-hun. If you're free, come over. I'll treat you to dinner. The person on the other end of the line burst out laughing. Dinner? Are we drinking beer at a convenience store again? Cut to a different location. The sound of sizzling oil on a grill. Slices of bright red meat were placed on the grill, sizzling. The barbecue restaurant was bustling with the glow of the fire and the sound of people. Ji-hun's eyes lit up as he stared at the plate of bright red meat on the grill. Oh my god, is this really Hanwoo? Hyun-soo nodded. I told you, we're eating proper Hanwoo. Ji-hun grinned like a child who had just received a gift and immediately picked up a piece. He almost jumped out of his chair. Kang Hyun-soo, you're really treating me to beef. Hanwoo, Hyun-soo's voice was slow and sincere. I feel like I owe you a lot. Let me treat you today. Ji-hun got goosebumps and waved his hands, laughing. Don't say things that give me the creeps. Hyun-soo placed a gift-wrapped box on the table. A gift for you. Ji-hun was stunned and mumbled, why does it look so fancy? He pulled out the box inside. The lid of the box popped open. The light cast a sparkling line on the brand-new leather shoes, the shiny H-shaped buckle. Ji-hun whispered, what is this? Are these really designer shoes? He turned around both happy and panicked. Kang Hyun-soo, where did you get so much money? Wait, is this really for me? Then the main character added, you've wanted them for a long time, just consider it my gift. I also transferred you the money for the medicine you helped me buy. Before right. Ji-hun, surprised, asked, when? Then he hugged the shiny shoes and cheered, thanking him profusely. Hyun-soo smiled and thought to himself, thanks to Ji-hun, my life is starting to get better. Then the main character blurted out, no, I should be the one thanking you, Ji-hun. He asked, bewildered, huh, what did you say? Ji-hun? Before he could even hear clearly Hyun-soo had already placed a hot piece of meat in his mouth. Eat up, kid. Night fell outside the glass window, a crescent moon hanging over the roof of the restaurant. The sound of people talking and laughing mingled with the warm smell of barbecue. Golden dawn broke over the palace square. At the bottom of the long steps, Hyun-soo stood facing Captain Benson. Between them, Bella served as a witness. In the distance, on a stone platform, Bharat sat. Well then, let's begin. Benson's voice was cold. 4. Please draw your weapon, Sir Hyun-soo. I will not go easy on you just because you are a friend of His Majesty. Steel was drawn from its sheath. The glint of the blade flashed as it cut through the air. Hyun-soo took a slow step, a slight smile on his lips. Me neither. He pulled out a crystal. Let's fight with all we've got in this match against Benson. The sword in the main character's hand suddenly glowed. He was blinded by the light and blurted out, what is that? Benson sneered in response. I thought it was something impressive. I was expecting something amazing, but it turns out to be just an ordinary sword. Do you think you can defeat the Knight Commander of the Kingdom with this sword? Before he could finish his sentence, he charged forward. What were you thinking, forging a sword with such low durability at that moment? His sword cracked and shattered into many pieces. The main character ignored the criticism and mumbled, "My mission is to hit the target successfully." Right. The sound of footsteps echoed. The system announced the number of hits on Benson. The current total is 59. He smirked. There's no rule against doing this, is there? Benson, completely shocked, thought to himself, using this method, I never would have imagined. Then he asked him vaguely, Hyun-soo, what is your true identity? The main character narrowed his eyes and then smiled, declaring confidently, I am the god of blacksmiths. Overly excited, he bowed his head with immense joy. It is an honor to meet the god of blacksmiths. Please spread His Majesty's swordsmanship and throughout the world. He replied, flustered. Please stop, he thought to himself. This is too much pressure. Cut to inside the castle. The main character lamented, I've been grinding hard for 2 weeks. Thanks to that, I've learned the Sword King's swordsmanship. My beginner swordsmanship proficiency has also increased significantly. But he wondered, do all swordsmen have it this tough? Currently, he has only learned 3 chapters. Chapter 1, The Beast's Aura. Chapter 2, Raging Torrent. Chapter 3, The Sword's Scream. His Majesty promised that if I increased my proficiency, he would teach me the remaining chapters. Cut to a little later. The main character went to find Barad. After greeting him, the main character got straight to the point. I have come because I have a favor to ask of your Majesty. Barad asked, what is it? He replied. The 100-year cold iron that you used to forge the sword the other day. I need it. Barad stroked his chin thoughtfully. I would like to be generous with you, my friend. But unfortunately, the piece I gave you that day was the last one. The main character heard the news like a bolt from the blue. The last one? Then my plan is completely ruined. Barad smiled reassuringly. Don't be so desperate. Cold iron can be found in the ice mine. You can go there and get it yourself. The main character hesitated. Is that all right? Then he quickly agreed. Yes, your Majesty. Barad turned and called for Bella. Go to the ice mine with Hyun-soo. She immediately objected, what I must stay by your Majesty's side. But he immediately replied, it will be a good experience for you as well. Bella could only bow her head. I obey your command. Cut to the World Channel. A big announcement appeared. Declaration of the successful conquest of the Ifrit Fire Dragon's tomb. The chat exploded. Crazy! For real. Barad finally succeeded, a legend. As expected of the Sword King. A cheer went up. Brother Barad! But then someone pointed out, wait, what's that sword Barad is holding? Look closely. Wow, even from a distance, the cold aura is terrifying. A sword? How is that? Is it dry ice or something? A keen-eyed person noticed. Is that really the character Hyun engraved on it? A new recruit asked, confused. What's Hyun? He was immediately teased. This guy is so behind the times, LOL. How can you not know Hyun? BA rumors spread quickly. The arrows of the recent tournament champion also had the character Hyun on them. That blacksmith seems to be in the Gozat Kingdom. But information about a blacksmith Hyun is still a mystery. Age level and gender have not been revealed. So he looked at those comments and had a monologue. It's a good thing we spread the rumor that Hyun-soo and blacksmith Hyun are 2 different people. Strange rumors began to appear. I heard he's a fat 40-year-old man. Another person chimed in. If he doesn't show his face, that's highly likely, LOL. The main character's friend, upon reading this, was speechless. A fat 40-year-old man, this Hyun-soo. Even so, everyone still rushed to follow him. I don't care, just follow him. He'll probably take custom orders later on anyway. Notifications kept popping up. The main character mumbled, He realized that thanks to Barad showing off the sword, the number of followers on his forge had skyrocketed to 310,000. Everyone is very interested in Blacksmith Hyun. He was worried. What would happen if it was revealed that I, the tournament champion, am actually Blacksmith Hyun? It's better to be careful for a while. I still have a lot of work to do. Before I go to the ice mine, I have to send a message. He remembered that he hadn't thanked this person. At that time on the forum, a user named Beck. He was a real-life real estate mogul. He was posting a lament. Salamander's prison has given me the class change quest several times. Even though this is Wang Bak, I can't get past it. All my artifacts have melted. Even a unique grade shield was destroyed. Even with money, you can't buy usable items. Beck asked desperately, are there any skilled blacksmiths out there? Suddenly, an in-game call appeared. Hyun-soo was calling. He sent a message, hello, boss. I'm contacting you to fulfill my previous promise. Answer me. Beck looked at the message, his eyes shining. Is that Hyun-soo? A promise. Then he realized. Is this the artifact? And we talked about that day. The main character asked again. Have there been any changes to the required effects? I plan to craft and send it soon. Beck, upon reading this, thought to himself. Can Hyun-soo make the artifact I need right now? Then Beck messaged back, no changes. Hyunsu, what level are you? The main character answered nonchalantly with an icon, I'm level 59. Beck was a little disappointed, thinking still so low, but he still messaged back politely. If you don't mind, could you please? He thought to himself. After all, he's a promising talent. It's worth having some expectations. But Beck was now hesitating. Should I send a request to Blacksmith Hyun right away? Then he became worried again. No. I heard that person doesn't accept orders from runners, let alone a nobody like me. But because the deadline for the class change quest was approaching, Beck clenched his fists in determination. I still have to try. BA cut to the ice mine. The main character entered the mine and exclaimed, Wow, is this the ice mine? The system announced. You are the first player to enter the ice mine, with a reward of double experience for 1 week. He grinned. The first one in, feels pretty good, and double experience too. Then he turned and asked Bella. Miss Bella, have you ever been here before? Bella answered coldly. No, this is my first time too. Suddenly a short miner appeared and asked, How did you get in here? This isn't a place just anyone can enter. Bella held her head high and introduced herself. I am Bella, Vice Commander of the Royal Knights. She held out an item and explained. I entered with royal permission. The miner's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, a royal... He looked closely at the object and exclaimed, That's the royal seal. It's the first time I've ever seen it. Then he cheerfully introduced himself. Hello, I'm the miner Banya. The main character replied, I'm the blacksmith Hyunsu. Banya's face grew serious. It's been a long time since I've seen an outsider. But I can't let just anyone into this mine. The main character's face fell. So what should I do? Banya suddenly puffed out his chest with pride. But luckily my father is the captain of the miners. Let me show you the way. This way, please. The main character was bewildered. Thank you. Walking along the tracks, the main character felt strange. Huh. Isn't that a monster? Banya explained excitedly. Interesting, isn't it? I heard that in the old days monsters were rampant throughout the mine. But 100 years ago, a mage sealed them up in that area. The main character stared at the group of monsters and guessed. Is that the cold iron clinging to them? Banya confirmed, that's right, and then gave a serious warning. But greed will lead to regret. Inside that barrier is their territory. You can get in, but it's hard to get out. The miners, and we also regret it because that's where the most ore is. But at least they're trapped, so we can work safely. So we should be happy. Then Banya pointed forward. We're here, that's my father, he called out loudly. Dad, we have guests. We have guests. He left saying, I'll just lead them here. The main character thanked him for leading the way. Banya pretended to leave, then hid in a corner and thought to himself, why have these outsiders come all this way? The main character greeted him. Excuse me for bothering you. He looked at Bella and thought, an outsider with a royal knight. What a strange combination. He was RK level 231. He asked why they were here. The main character got straight to the point. I'm looking for 100-year cold iron. No. A better quality ore than that. RK was surprised. A better quality ore? He confirmed, yes. Do you know of any? RK narrowed his eyes in thought. An ore better than 100-year cold iron. He knew of its existence, but he thought, there is, but why should I tell him? Especially these greedy outsiders. He was worried. If it gets out that the ice mine has that thing, it'll be chaos. But he was also wary of Bella. He's with someone from the royal family. So he looked for a polite way to refuse. He asked, Hey, young man, have you ever mined before? The main character shook his head. No. REK set a condition. An ordinary miner digs 3 ores a day. If you can dig 40 ores in a week, I'll let you know. The system showed an A-rank quest. Mine 40 ores in 1 week. 7 failure will result in not receiving the information. REK asked, So do you dare to accept? The main character accepted but asked back. What if I mine more than 40? REK laughed loudly. That's not going to happen. But if you do, I'll go mine it myself and bring that ore to you, on the condition that you don't receive help from your teammates. The main character's eyes lit up. You promise? REK crossed his arms. Yes, I promise. See you in a week. As the main character turned to leave, REK shouted, And hey, Banya, I know you're hiding there. Get out here now. Banya was dragged out. REK scolded him harshly. You're injured and still running around. And you're even eavesdropping, Banya yelped. Ow, ow, Dad, I'm sorry. Bella wondered, why did Sir Hyunsu provoke Mr. REK like that? The main character smiled mysteriously. Actually, because I knew I was going to the mine. I prepared in advance. His eyes burned with determination. I will definitely get that better quality ore. A week passed. Rekka stood outside the cave entrance with a skeptical expression. To be honest, it's strange that Lord Barad is friends with a stranger. He hasn't come out for a whole week. Rekka pursed his lips as he waited. Even so, there's no way he can do it. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed. The main character stepped out. His face was smudged with dirt, looking every bit the miner. Arike called out, "You're finally out, outsider! You look like a real miner now." He demanded, "Time's up, let's see what you've got." "Here," the main character said, flustered. "Wait a minute." Then only one piece of ore fell out, making her... AK thinks smugly. Of course, an outsider couldn't possibly do it. But then a whole pile of ore came pouring out. Rik's eyes widened as he saw the pile of ore that had formed a mountain. The main character concluded, "That's a total of 200. Rik was so shocked, he stammered, "Who are you?" He was bewildered. "Could it be you're a legendary miner?" The main character stood there and smiled sheepishly. "No, I'm just an ordinary blacksmith." 4. The secret was revealed on the system panel. The main character was holding a Damascus sword, also a pickaxe. He had used it as a pickaxe. The item information was clearly displayed. Damascus sword, unique. Stone cutting power, saw 170%. 70% reduction in durability loss from stone. Active skill, Damascus pickaxe sword, crafted solely for breaking stone. Rik nodded in acknowledgement. I see. As a blacksmith, you have truly forged your own path, yes. Then he sincerely apologized for underestimating the main character and offered, "Tonight I would like to invite you to dinner. What do you say?" The main character happily replied, "It would be my honor." Then he asked further, "May I invite Miss Bella to join us as well?" Rik agreed immediately. Of course. Cut to a noisy and lively restaurant, the sound of cheerful chatter. Banya, seeing Bella eating, immediately asked, "Lady Nidus, why are you eating so hurriedly all by yourself?" The main character also chimed in, asking Miss Bella, "And why don't you sit down and have a few drinks and chat?" However, Bella answered coldly, "I feel more comfortable this way," causing both of them to be disappointed. Back to the main character's table. A man, still not over his surprise, asked again, "You really mined 200 ores, don't exaggerate?" "And now?" He replied humbly, "Yes, somehow." He then asked about the most important thing. "So how much cold iron did you mine?" The crowd around them held their breath in anticipation. He replied, "About 20 pieces. Everyone gasped in amazement. 20 pieces of cold iron from just one person. That's unbelievable. He leaned in curiously. "I heard your special pickaxe is quite famous. Can I see it?" The main character smiled and took it out. "This is the Damascus pickaxe," he explained. "This is a specialized tool just for mining. Efficiency is increased by over 200%. Thanks to it, I was able to complete the assigned task. It can also transform into a sword. When in sword form, its stone-cutting power also increases. Extremely useful." Bella in a corner thought to herself, as expected of a blacksmith. Look how excited he is. The fervent atmosphere spread to the miners. One shouted loudly, "If even a rookie can do that, then we can't be outdone. Tomorrow we'll go all out." A chorus of agreement rang out. "But first let's drink." The main character raised his glass and thanked the miners, laughing heartily. "Once a miner, always family. Let's drink till we drop." Cut to the next day. Rekka pointed to the restricted area and said, "This is where the 1,000-year cold iron is buried." The main character was stunned. "You mean it's in here?" He was puzzled. "Didn't you say we couldn't go in because there's a barrier?" Rik confirmed, "That's right. But the 1,000-year cold iron is really in there." The main character was worried. "I know, but there are so many monsters." "Will it be okay?" Rik answered bluntly. "From here on, it's your problem." He was dumbfounded. "How are you telling me to mine in this mess?" Rik turned away nonchalantly. "I'm going to the next mine. If you need anything, just find me." Suddenly, the system announced with a ping, "A new story has begun." He was startled. A story? Why so suddenly? A series of red alert notifications appeared. It has been 100 years since the mage balloon created the barrier. It has now weakened. The trapped monsters are going berserk. The barrier will break in 3 minutes. Panicked, the main character shouted, "Mr. Rik, wait!" Rik stopped and asked, "What is it?" He warned, "The barrier is about to break. We need to evacuate the miners immediately." Rik dismissed it. "Nonsense. That barrier has been stable for 100 years. Why would it suddenly—" Before he could finish, a loud boom echoed. The ground shook violently, stunning everyone present. Rik looked up in panic. "The mine is collapsing! Everyone run!" Screams echoed everywhere. The monsters are about to break out, run. But a group of people shouted, "We have to save the people trapped inside first." Cries for help echoed from the tunnel. Several miners also added, "That's right, we can't just leave them. We can't leave our comrades behind." Rik stepped forward and continued, "They're right, we can't go. It was probably designed to prevent mine collapses. It's been activated." The main character, remembering the mission, grew anxious. "The architectural magic won't activate. The monsters will pour out like a waterfall. What should I do?" A system showed an A-rank quest. Condition: the one who triggered the story. Failure penalty. The death of the miners. The description clearly stated 58 people inside. 38 people outside are in danger. Help them survive. The reward will be based on the number of survivors. The main character's heart ached as he thought. The reward is based on the number of people. Does the system treat the lives of NPCs so lightly? But he looked around at the scared faces and told himself, but in Ares they are real people. He turned to Bella and shouted, "Miss Bella! If I miss any monsters, then you take care of the rear guard here." Bella looked at him in surprise. "Do you know no fear you're going to charge in again?" The main character repeated. "I told you outsiders don't die," he declared. "I will block the monsters right at the dungeon entrance." The rumbling grew closer. He stood guard but wavered for a moment. "Can I really take them all on with just this?" He swallowed hard, looking at the Damascus sword. "With this alone, it's impossible." He mumbled, plotting a plan. "The way to stop them is... I need something completely new." He came up with a bold idea. God's emergency crafting, using a large amount of ore. "I've never tried it before, but it should be fine. If I try an emergency craft, using high-quality ore and a large quantity, what would happen?" A light flashed, confirming his action. B.A. God's emergency crafting. The result was the appearance of a giant weapon. Greatsword of meditation. The countdown clock ticked down its final seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. A main character held the greatsword, challenging defiantly. "If you're so good, come at me." The barrier shattered, revealing the monsters. Stone Buffalo, level 1/3, Stone Wolf, level 110. Stone Orc, level 107. The usage limit of the greatsword appeared. 30-second limit. Disappears after one swing. But his determination remained firm. "As long as I guard this passage, not a single one will be allowed to pass." The greatsword floated above, in the air like an omen of the chaos of an ice storm. A single slash froze all the monsters that rushed out. Very quickly after the greatsword disappeared, the main character contemplated its power. So this destructive power is the result. There were still many left in the cave. The situation outside the dungeon was still very chaotic. A panicked miner reported while another shouted, "What's the situation with the miners now?" A man in a hard hat screamed, "Damn it! We have to dig faster!" Another pleaded, "There's an injured person here, hurry up!" A scene of desperation with falling rocks and miners running in all directions. The main character with a determined face swore, "I will save them at all costs." The system reminded him, "The reward depends on the number of survivors." Beside him, a desperate miner shouted, "Clear this pile of iron, or anything." The main character was tense but firmly encouraged. "Hang in there a little longer. I will save everyone," he prayed silently. "Please save the miners," with a strong belief. "To me, they are not just NPCs. To him, the miners were real people. People who risked danger to protect their loved ones. Therefore, I must..." The main character stood with intense focus. His eyes blazing with determination, he declared, "I will definitely protect them all." Facing him was the dark, threatening cave entrance. He realized he needed a new strategy. "First, I have to lure them to a secluded spot." He drew his weapon and called its name, the Damascus sword, in the dark hallway. The main character charged into the darkness, hearing only the ticking of time. His face was focused and serious. A series of quick actions unfolded. The main character's shadow unleashed a powerful sword strike in the darkness. Next was a scene of a fierce clash. The air distorted from the force of the blow. He landed stumbling slightly. Suddenly, from behind, a monster swung its claws and charged forward. Just as it was about to strike, he swung his sword to block. Then he ran forward and slashed down its body. With just one slash, it collapsed with a loud thud. Around him, the main character was now surrounded by a horde of monsters. He silently gave thanks. "It's a good thing I learned it. The Sword King's swordsmanship." Then he channeled his energy, the raging sword. A powerful slash shattered the stone floor around him. The main character stood panting but victorious. The system confirmed the power of the attack. The raging sword deals an additional 100% critical damage for a total of 140%. He whispered in amazement, "It's stronger than I thought." A victory notification appeared. Emergency quest rescue the miners completed. The second line confirmed an incredible achievement. All 96 miners have survived. The notification continued to praise, "You have completed a new story with an admirable achievement." The main character thought, tired but relieved. Everyone's safe. The system presented an enticing choice. You can manipulate the situation to receive a greater reward from the captain. Minor R. EK, the idea was tempting. Manipulate the situation. He thought saving everyone was enough. But if there was a bigger reward, why pass it up? A sly smile appeared on the main character's face. "A good idea just came to me." Outside, a sigh of relief was heard. REK cheered, "Don't worry, no one's hurt. We're safe." "You all did a great job." Everyone cheered loudly. "Awesome." The miners celebrated. We're alive, we're alive. Another confessed. I thought I was a goner for sure. An air of relief enveloped them. Bella looked around, then ran to report to R.E.K. Sir R.E.K. It seems Hyun-soo lured the monsters deep into the dungeon. R.E.K. was startled and repeated the name. Now that you mention it, Blacksmith Hyun-soo. He turned to the crowd and announced, everyone listen up. I heard the blacksmith lured the monsters inside to protect us. The crowd murmured in amazement. No wonder I didn't see any monsters. R.E.K. confessed with a serious face. As a captain, I'm ashamed. He looked at the survivors and declared firmly, we haven't saved all of our family yet. He ordered the able-bodied men. Anyone who still has strength, follow me. We're going into the dungeon right now, the men roared in unison. Inside the dungeon, a voice called out, stranger. The rescue team entered the dark cave, calling for the main character. Blacksmith, can you hear me? Hyun-soo, a worried voice echoed. Are you in there? Hey, rookie! Suddenly, a miner exclaimed, over there. Then they rushed to where the main character was lying injured. Hey, are you okay? He's badly injured. Bella cradled him in her arms, listening to his heartbeat and mumbled with a worried expression. What a fool. Compared to his injuries, his heartbeat is stable. Everyone calm down. Hyun-soo was... A questioning voice rang out. He's pretending to be weak to take advantage of the situation. He shushed, please be quiet for a moment. Then he reassured everyone with a weak smile. Everyone, I'm fine. He painted a tragic picture. The battle was tough, but luckily I've defeated all the monsters. He sighed wearily and asked, everyone, is everyone safe? Rekka's face was full of gratitude and shame. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry. We were so busy saving the miners that we forgot about you, Hyun-soo. He confessed, I'm truly ashamed. We haven't done anything for you besides offering you drinks and food. Why did you do such a reckless thing? The main character explained, you all treated me and Miss Bella like family. Seeing how you all care for and sacrifice for each other, I wanted to help. He finished with a relieved tone. I'm so glad everyone is safe. R.E.K. watched with a pained expression and mumbled, this fool. Then he pushed Bella aside and rushed to him, moved. We won't forget. Your kindness, Blacksmith Hyun-soo. Bella seeing this thought to herself. What is he doing? He was perfectly fine a moment ago. R.E.K. waved it off. This is not the time to discuss this. Quickly take our benefactor to rest. A system confirmed a profound impact. Captain R. Ek and the 95 miners will never forget you. The main character closed his eyes and smiled smugly to himself. I knew it. He praised himself. A little deep acting was a good idea. Satisfied with his performance, Bella, who had witnessed the entire act from behind, realized the truth in stunned disbelief and uttered the final sentence. He really is a con artist. Cut to the next day. The main character was sleeping soundly. Then he was suddenly woken up by a voice. Hyun-soo. He jolted awake, surprised to see Banya looking at him worriedly. He asked Banya, when did you get here? Banya turned around and shouted, everyone, Sir Hyun-soo is awake. The main character thought confused. Wait, when did everyone get in? Yes. R.E.K. rushed in and asked caringly, Hyun-soo, how are you feeling? But the main character didn't answer and asked another question. Yes, is everyone safe? The door swung open and a crowd of people rushed in, reassuring him. We're all fine, he teased. You should worry about yourself first. R.E.K. asked again, you're leaving soon, aren't you? Because you're a blacksmith. Before you go, I have something to say. He invited him to speak. Please go ahead. R.E.K. signaled for everyone to come in. The crowd poured into the room again. R.E.K. announced, today we will only mine for you. The main character was surprised. Mine for me, R.E.K. the miner explained. We want to repay you for risking your life to save us. We will find the 1,000-year cold iron you need, I promise. The main character was moved. 1,000-year-old cold iron for me, he replied humbly. I was just doing what anyone would do. Thank you all. Is that what you all wanted to say? He turned his head and smiled, giving a signal. Everyone left the room. Then Eka added, no, actually, I also have a request. My son should tell you himself. Banya stammered, Sir Hyun-soo. No, my benefactor. I, the miner Banya, wish to follow you. The system announced. B.A. the miner. Banya swears eternal loyalty to you. Banya is a genius, destined to become a legendary miner. You can accept this person as your vassal. The main character was shocked. A vassal cut to the office. The woman with glasses was frantic. Why does this always happen when the team leader is away? Hyun-soo has done something incredible again. No territory, no guildmaster title. How can a legendary NPC willingly become a vassal? I'll have to work overtime again. The main character smiled wryly. Banya, please stand up. I'm not anyone special. But Banya insisted. I saw you mining with a special tool with my own eyes, and you risked your life to save us. I was amazed and grateful. But more than that, I have the utmost respect for you. I swear I will swing my pickaxe for you. I will mine for you. Please accept me as your vassal. The main character thought. I can feel his sincerity. But this isn't something that can be decided with just a yes. Banya asked further. Is it because I don't have any skills yet? And so I'm not qualified? Seeing Banya's words, he suggested. It's because I don't feel qualified to lead anyone yet. Please give me some time to think about it. When I have a base of operations, I'll send you a letter. Banya was overjoyed. You mean? The main character smiled confidently and extended his hand. So Banya at that time joined me. Banya cheered. Thank you, Sir Hyun-soo. The system confirmed. You have accepted Banya as your vassal. You can now view Banya's profile. Banya's profile appeared. Vassal type 1165, ETK 504. Defense 430. Mining power 1672. Special skills and potential 111. Description. A genius who will become the greatest miner in the world. The main character thought. His sincerity has brought me an amazing ally. Now we just have to grow together. Banya asked, When will I see you again? He replied. No, not for long. Banya promised more. I will continue to mine with everyone for you. Please call me more informally. The main character agreed. Okay, from now on I'll call you Banya. Cut to evening. The system reported received 415 iron ore and 1 cold iron. REK was satisfied and gave the item to the main character. You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? The main character was stunned. This is, REK announced, 1,000-year cold iron. The item information appeared. Unique, max difficulty, requires Blacksmith level 300+. Fire resistance stats. Ice skill enhancement, infinite sharpness and durability. Description. Cold iron buried for 6,000 years. Far surpasses ordinary 1,000-year cold iron. He exclaimed, Wow, that's amazing! Bella leaned close to him and whispered, What a con man. The main character, feeling guilty, covered her mouth. Shh, people will misunderstand. REK was moved. I can't believe. In my life, I'd get to mine 1,000-year-old cold iron like this. It's all thanks to you, Hyun-soo. The main character thanked everyone. The miners responded enthusiastically. At the same time, Banya ran up shouting his name. The main character, seeing this, took out a nice item and offered it. Here, I have something for you. The main character held the pickaxe and thought to himself, If Banya uses this to mine, I'll get even more ore. Banya was moved. Is this the pickaxe you're most proud of? He cried, I will follow you for the rest of my life. The main character felt a little guilty. He's so happy. I feel a little bad. As he left, the miners waved goodbye. Bella watched the main character thoughtfully. I called him a con artist, but he risked his life to save the miners. But he won their trust. She walked through the gate and said, He's pretty cool, isn't he? The main character heard her and turned around. Huh, Bella? Did you just say cool? Are you talking about me, Bella? Cut to a few days later in Salamander's dungeon. A complaining voice was heard. Damn it, after all this time, even the 11th ranked blacksmith couldn't make the shield I need. Am I going to fail this dungeon? The system announced, Master Hyun-soo has sent you a gift. He was surprised. Hyun-soo level 59? I'm not expecting much. Let's see what it is. A confirmation dialog box to open the gift. When he selected yes, he stared in amazement. Huh, what is this? Is this a game bug 4? His face was glued to the screen. Displaying detailed information. Item, Hyun's custom-made shield, unique. Possesses incredible durability, 12,000. ATK 251. Thorns 111 and Defense 401. Requires Wang class level 150+. The special abilities listed were incredibly impressive. Fire resistance plus 201%. Defense plus 247% against fire-type monsters. And attack plus 222% against fire-type monsters. Along with passive skills. Icy Gaze and active skills. Ice Thorns and Icy Wave. Description explains that this is the 8th custom-made shield. Crafted by the main character. It's almost at the legendary level modeled after Aegis. And just needs slightly more authentic materials to be truly complete. His bewilderment turned into admiration as he whispered, The main character's name, Hyun-soo, you're much more talented than I ever imagined. He continued to examine the shield with amazement, noticing the design. And this design, it's based on Medusa's hair, a shield inspired by Aegis itself. This is truly a masterpiece. A text box explained the mythical shield, Aegis the divine shield in Greek, and Roman mythology, available for 0137 and 32 seconds. He stood up, hands clasped in front of his chest. His face was one of complete disbelief as he admitted, You keep surprising me again and again. Perhaps with this artifact, I can finally clear this dungeon. The system confirmed, entered Salamander's dungeon. The entrance was marked by a flash of light and a ting. Hidden Quest activated the final challenge. The scene shifts to the main character, now in a clean reception hall. He was talking to Nen. She expressed her gratitude. Thanks to you, Hien, finally, I've made it to the reception hall of the Gozet Kingdom. The main character replied, This was only possible because Nen has helped me all along the way. She asked with a polite expression, "Are you still doing well these days?" The main character answered, "Yes, thanks to you. After visiting the ice mine, I spent the whole day taking care of my father." So he replied with sympathy, "It must be tiring. Has your father shown any signs of waking up?" The main character's face showed a pained expression as he answered, "His consciousness still hasn't returned, but I won't give up hope." Hearing this, she was silent for a moment, then changed the subject. "We agreed to talk about the guild today, didn't we?" "Right now. I think we should keep it small and elite, to make you the most famous blacksmith in the kingdom. If we team up with players who are much higher level, it will be harder to achieve our own goals." "Yes," the main character replied upon hearing this. "So, our main goal is to make me the most famous blacksmith." She paused for emphasis before continuing. "The fastest way for a guild to grow and become famous is to create a star. And that star will be you, Mr. Hyun. Have you thought of anyone specific to be a founding member? And of our guild?" "Yes." The main character paused, a thoughtful expression on his face, his hand on his chin. "First, the friend who introduced me to this game." A thought bubble appeared, an image of his friend and the text, "Just trust this guy." The main character then hesitated. There's really no one else." He explained his lack of connections. "I haven't had time to get close to other players." His face fell, so he smiled kindly and reassured him. "It's okay. We'll build those relationships together." Suddenly, the main character snapped his fingers, his face excited. "Ah! There's one more person," he exclaimed. "Yes," Nen asked. "What's their username?" The main character answered, "That person's name is Beck." Nen looked skeptical. "I've never heard that name before. Their level is high." A system notification appeared. "User information is set to private." The main character became thoughtful again. "Now that I think about it, I didn't ask anything other than his name and profession." Nen's expression became skeptical. "You're nominating someone to join a core team of 5 with almost no information." The main character defended his choice, his expression serious. "But this person, when I was at rock bottom, he gave up his own interests just so I could start over. This is someone I'm incredibly grateful to." So Nen, with a thoughtful expression, gave up personal interests. The main character answered, "That's right." She then made a guess. "Could this person be running a business?" The main character's surprise was evident. "How did you know?" So she warned him, shaking her head. "Hyun, you may not realize it, but your value in Ares is beyond imagination. He might be planning to use you to start an in-game business, or even take over the guild leadership." The main character quickly defended the person. His face was completely certain. "He would never do something like that. He's not the type of person to betray me. I'm sure of it." So he placed the final decision in his hands. "Whether to accept that person as a guild member or not is up to you." The main character agreed. Then Nen, with an excited expression, pleaded with him, "Hyun, please let me meet that person too. Until then, please try not to reveal your identity as Hyun the blacksmith." The main character's eyes widened as he realized his hand covering his mouth. I accidentally put the name Hyun on the gift I sent recently." Den's eyes bulged with shock. "What, Hyun-soo, oh Hyun-soo?" The scene suddenly cuts to Beck. He was fighting a monster. He used the gifted shield. He pierced through the monster forcefully. His face was full of amazement as he mumbled, "Unbelievable." He looked at the shield's features. His voice was full of admiration. "It really has all the features I wanted." His amazement was now mixed with disbelief. "This is impossible. Did Hyun-soo really? How many more times will he surprise me? How can I ever repay him?" Just then, from behind, a large hand struck out with a thud. He was slammed into the stone wall. The Fire Queen, without hesitation, cast a spell. A fireball then shot towards him. The huge explosion sent rocks flying everywhere. As the embers of the fire gradually faded, the shield appeared. A cold blue light emanated from it. He used the shield to block a giant fire attack. "The Fire Queen's clone?" Then spoke in a challenging tone. "So you blocked my attack. Interesting. Tell me the name of the one who forged this." She issued a terrifying threat. "If you dare to refuse, I will hunt you down, not just your character, but your very self." Despite the extreme danger, he remained defiant. His expression was grim but determined as he thought to himself, "If her real self hunts me down, I might have to quit the game. But even so, I can't betray Hyun-soo." He held his shield and leaped high to attack from above. The Fire Queen's clone narrowed her eyes. She recognized his determination. "So that's your answer. You're not afraid to die." He blocked the fire blast that was thrown at him and replied, "This little thing isn't worth dying for." The Fire Queen's clone used the hand of death with a boom. He groaned under the impact. The clone then questioned his sacrifice. "You're dying for a single artifact, BAH. His remaining HP was critically low, 33. He looked at the shield and declared with a fierce expression, "This is no ordinary artifact." He raised the shield high, the system announced. The shield responds to the user's will. With new power, he declared, "It's a gift from my friend." An explosion of power. A blue light emanated from his hand. A spear appeared carrying immense energy. 6. The system announcement rang out. Hidden skill Icy Gaze of Aegis activated. The Fire Queen's clone reacted with extreme shock. What? A warning flashed. Warning, the clone is preparing a powerful magic. The clone prepared a massive attack. She screamed with utmost effort. "You think these pathetic tricks can defeat me?" Just then he threw it forcefully at her. Her face was stunned by the power before her. Boom! Boom! The ground shattered, sending debris flying everywhere. The sound of the battle ending rang out, and a notification confirming victory. You have defeated the Fire Queen's clone. Profession quest completed. Cleared Salamander's dungeon. Received the Crimson Dragon armor set. The explosion caused rocks to fall. He ran to the side and looked at the system notification. You have received a hidden piece. Secret challenge completed. He looked around confused and asked, "A hidden piece?" There was one. Another bell rang. Despite the danger, you refused to reveal your comrade's identity. His face contorted in annoyance. "Hey, that's a given." The system then announced, "Reward for loyalty. You have been granted the status of a growing warrior. Hidden piece reward, based on story progression." He gasped in utter amazement and exclaimed, "Is this a hidden class change?" 4. The system showed more. You are a flawless tank without any shortcomings. You have become a growth tank, an elite class with the potential to reach legendary status. Growth tank is a special class that protects precious people. He mumbled to himself, a profession that protects precious people. A warning appeared. You have not joined any guilds. With the advice, we recommend that you join a guild. A sly smile appeared on his lips as he considered his next move. Looks like I have a lot to talk to Hyun-soo about. Cut to the bustling streets of the kingdom. Gojat. A murmur of conversation arose as he appeared in his magnificent armor. The crowd whispered, "Look at that armor. It's crazy like a chess piece." The main character stood up and called out to him, "Over here." So he thought to himself, that's Beck. Just looking at his artifacts, he seems amazing. Since he's a businessman, he must be very silver-tongued. We have to be careful. Beck approached his face full of gratitude. Hyun-soo. Thank you. Thanks to you, I was able to complete the quest. I never would have guessed your identity. 4. So hearing this, he was startled and looked around anxiously. Realizing they were attracting too much attention, he said to him, Sir Beck. Beck, realizing his mistake, quickly changed the subject. I'll pay for this. Let's find a private place to talk. They retreated to a private reception room in the Gozat Kingdom. Once they were safe, Beck returned to the topic, continuing their previous conversation. I saw the character Hyun engraved on the shield, and I knew immediately. Blacksmith Hyun is you, Hyun-soo? So he thought. Straight to the point, I see. The main character answered immediately. Yes, that's right. I don't want to hide it from you. So I engraved my name on the artifact. Beck leaned in and asked, Can you come a little closer? The main character was bewildered. Beck said sincerely, Thank you. I've noticed since you wanted to buy back the forge that you sold to me. Hyun-soo, you're really a wonderful young man. When someone wanted to take the artifact you made, I told them it was a gift from my friend. Since you seem to be deliberately hiding your identity, this old man will also help keep it a secret. At this point, Nen thought to herself. She thought he was trying to use Hyun-soo. Was I suspicious for no reason? Then she introduced herself. I'm Nen, Hyun-soo's manager. I was prejudiced against Sir Beck. I sincerely apologize. Hearing this, he asked back, What prejudice are you talking about? She smiled wryly and said, because you knew Hyun-soo's identity. So I thought you were taking advantage of him. Just because I heard you were a businessman. Beck cheerfully accepted her apology and assured her. How could that happen? But it's not entirely wrong. There are many people in the world who would want to take advantage of someone like you. I Beck. He shared his thoughts freely once intended. To form a guild with you, Hyun-soo, but I don't want to profit from you. Seeing you with good people by your side puts my mind at ease. That's enough for me. Hearing his sincerity, the main character hesitantly interrupted, Actually, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. I want to invite you to join my guild. Beck exclaimed in surprise, What? The main character explained, I want to work with you. The reason is, I want to grow and share the joy with you. Beck thought for a moment, then smiled warmly and agreed. Listen, that sounds great. He swore sincerely, From now on I will protect you, Hyun-soo. Let me introduce myself properly. My character name is Beck, level 311 Growth Wang class. According to my research, it can become a legendary class. So he stared. Legendary Beck confirmed, that's right. He placed his expectations on him. If you are Blacksmith Hyun, then you must be a legendary class too, right? The main character also introduced himself confidently. Let me also introduce myself formally. My real name is Hyun-soo. Level 80 profession is God of Blacksmiths. Beck's face was one of utter shock. What? The main character smiled and extended his hand. We don't have a guild name yet, but I look forward to working with you. Beck shook his hand, his expression respectful. Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. Future guild master. Beck smiled and suggested, the food's getting cold, let's eat. I want to repay you properly for the gift. The main character asked, confused, huh? That was just my gratitude. He was stunned when he saw the 400 million. One transfer notification. Yes, the notification clearly stated that Beck had transferred 400 million won. The main character stammered, I just gave you a gift. Beck explained seriously, no. That gift was too much for me to accept for free. Returning to the topic of the guild, Beck asked, how do you plan to run the guild? So he enthusiastically presented his strategy. Our first goal is to make Blacksmith Hyun more famous. Then we'll take custom orders. Beck was impressed. Oh, so you're planning to create a star for the guild first. What method do you plan to use? Nen's face was proud as she revealed. We're going to put a handsome user. With no scandals, the hottest one on the air, Hyun-soo himself. The main character's jaw dropped as he pointed at himself. Me handsome? And on the air too, are you kidding me? Nen's face was completely serious. After Aries became globally famous, Apuram Group and the broadcasting station signed an agreement, listing stations like Star TV, Egger Aurora Unicorn. Aris content flooded the platforms, including internet stations, notably Aji Internet Broadcasting. It was once very famous for broadcasting, Aris, but is now on the decline. The scene shifts to a television station. The director urged the staff, everyone hurry up. There's less than an hour until broadcast. You all know that ratings have been plummeting lately. Right, another staff member said confidently. Of course. That's why we stirred up public opinion beforehand. Blacksmith Hyun refused to participate, but the tournament champion will answer instead. The director was determined. This may be our last chance. The next scene is a live broadcast about to begin. The chat window appeared. Objective prepare to broadcast with 500 viewers. The audience commented skeptically, it's about to start. A truth room. They always invite ugly people. Another added details. In the truth room, height, weight, and even real hair are all revealed, LOL. The skepticism continued, for real. The martial arts tournament champion will be exposed too. MC Totem smiled brightly. Hello. Long time no see, I'm MC Totem. He introduced the guest. Today's guest is the martial arts tournament champion. What you're most curious about is his real appearance, right? The chat was still full of skepticism. I heard that Blacksmith Hyun is also participating but not showing his face. Rumor has it he's a short pot-bellied guy. I'm scared. The audience predicted, I bet the viewership today, and will drop to 5,000. The MC was unfazed. He announced the guest's entrance as usual. We'll get straight to the point. The martial arts tournament champion? Mr. Hyun-soo, please enter the truth room. The chat exploded. A mix of confusion with a series of question marks and exclamations. Why, what is this? The MC cheerfully welcomed him. Welcome, Mr. Hyun-soo. The chat was flooded with question marks, prompting the main character to ask, is there a broadcast error? It's all question marks. Is it weird? A few viewers understood and commented, no, it's because you're too handsome. Why is he so handsome? I hate it. The main character, flustered, could only force a laugh. Ha ha, no. Suddenly, a new message appeared. When will Blacksmith Hyun appear? With a huge donation, the Blacksmith, Ron has donated 500,000 won. The chat exploded again. Crazy, is that really Ron? Wow, wow. Crazy amazing. One of the 3 master craftsmen, Ron, is watching too. The broadcast room was abuzz with excitement. A dramatic climax for the debut of the champion, the martial arts tournament.